Hey, listeners. Welcome to episode number 118 of the Avocado Gamescast, the Avocado's gaming podcast. We've got a great and very special episode lined up for you today, and you'll see why very soon, so let's just dive right in and introduce ourselves. I am Merve, and joining me, he's a King of Katowice, the Vizier of Wrocław, and the Wizard of Łódź. Say hi to science.
Hello. Oh, that was pretty good. That was pretty good, Merv.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it.
Eh,
Hello.
I practiced a little bit. He's rallying the troops to figure out why Carowinds is allowed to straddle state lines. It's the Kappa.
I guess I'll take it. I'll take rallying, but we're more of a Raleigh. We got the all
Rallying,
sound. Yeah,
rallying the
it's
troops.
close enough.
Close enough.
Acceptable.
Um, isn't it crazy that I was better at pronouncing Polish cities than cities in a country I've actually lived in before?
It's intense.
Um, and finally, we have a very special guest today. You might know him from the internet. He's one of the creative minds behind adventure games like Time Gentlemen Please, Lair of the Clockwork God, and most recently Earth Must Die. Give a warm welcome to Ben Ward.
Hello, I am very special.
Yeah, that's why we're having you. It's nice to have a special guest, which is not something we've gotten to do very often.
I already got downgraded from very special to special. It's going to be guests.
Yeah, it's a gradient.
It'll be...
It's rapid. You start very special, then it's special, then it's like, it's Ben, right? That's how it operates. How is everyone doing today?
I've been better, but powering through. Thank you to cyclobenzaprine. And my sciatica is raging, but I'm feeling all right.
Yeah, back pain has become a much more common thing that we talk about in the podcast since we're
10
nearing
years
our
now.
10-year anniversary.
Strange.
When I started this podcast, I was in my 20s and a grad student, and now I'm like, I own a car, I have a job. It's a very different kind of environment. And yeah, back pain is way more common now. The stuff I did to my back in my 20s is stuff that I regret. I should have just like shelled out for a better mattress years ago.
Be careful with that because my wife went and got one of those pillow top mattresses like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's the worst mattress I've ever slept on. But now we spent so much money on it, it kind of feels like sunk costs. We're like having to keep using it, and it is the worst. Every time I go to bed, I'm like, I hate this mattress, but I also don't like that I spent like way too much money on it. I don't want to throw it out either, so I'm stuck with that thing.
That's sunk cost fallacy at work. Like you'd be happier with another mattress for
Yeah.
sure.
Listen, if we're doing mattress talk,
Yeah, we are.
I bought a memory foam years ago, and I'm very happy with that.
You like that? See,
Yeah.
I would think I would like that. I don't. The reason I don't like the pillow top is because like you sink into it like way too much. Like there's no like give to it, right? Very tough.
Depends probably on the memory foam, but mine, I just got one from IKEA. And it's quite firm. It's nice. It's definitely an improvement because when I moved into my apartment 2 years ago, I was sleeping like for 6 months. I was sleeping on a couch, and that screwed up my back pretty bad. that was
Oh,
yeah. So the improvement is noticeable. Yeah, I'd recommend memory foam. It's good.
yeah, like IKEA does these mattresses with like a layer of memory foam and then it's a traditional mattress kind of on the bottom. They're pretty firm. They don't feel like you're sinking into the mattress. That's the kind of mattress I sleep on. Shout out to IKEA.
You got to find out the name for it, though. That's always
It's
the important thing.
Bloomberg.
Yeah, there you
It
nailed it.
starts with H. I'll get the name. I just have to like lift up the fitted
There's
sheet.
4 umlauts in the.
This is such like throwing stones in glass houses. You're like, oh, that language has so many accents and weird words. Like,
Listen,
bro.
it's not a language. Famously, IKEA just it's not real names, so I can.
Is
just
it?
talk
It's not?
shit. No,
You
it's
know
not.
what's so funny? I was
You can't talk if you have a language where you put accents on consonants, okay?
But
I
it's
got
not
kind of
language. The IKEA thing is not language.
I went to IKEA like I don't know, like 6 months ago. We needed a bookshelf, and I was like, okay, IKEA names, right? The bookshelf we got was called Billy. And I was like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you can't do this. You can't. This is your thing, right? Like you can't just
Billy's been like their line of bookshelves for forever.
yeah.
They
And then
used
everything
to
else is
be
like
like
Schnork. Can I get a Billy?
so I used to have
Okay,
Billy
they are real
bookcases.
names, but usually of towns or landscapes instead
Yeah,
of
like
just
proper
like
nouns. Yeah.
proper nouns. Sorry. So a bit of a explain. It probably will. I don't want any emails coming my way from Swedish people
From our
saying,
5
"What the
Swedish
hell are you
listeners.
talking about?" Exactly.
Look,
Sorry.
the only country we can't piss off is Estonia.
Yeah. Be
They
careful
are
there.
they
The
are
great
like
nation of Estonia.
yeah, they're the source of our popularity. They're the country that
Right
listens.
so.
Yeah, Ben, I don't know if you know this, but a really long time ago, I got this email from like if you run a podcast and you have your contact info out there, you get emails from like really shady marketing firms being like, sign up for our podcast promotion service. And this one had the subject line something like, the Avocado Games Cast is the 35th most popular gaming podcast in Estonia, or something like
Oh wow!
that. Which, like, okay,
A
thank
huge
you. I guess I'll go
Estonian
learn
fan base.
Estonian. Can't be that far away from Finnish, right? So
In the ballpark, I bet.
yeah, it's a Finno-Ugric language. It's in that ballpark. If you can learn Finnish, you can learn Estonian, and I guess Hungarian as well. It's also in that language family. So
Yeah, it is. It is. Hungarian is in the language family, but it's like an outlier, and it sounds great. It like completely different. So it has like the same roots and systems, but when you hear it spoken, you're like, oh no, that doesn't.
It's always
That
interesting to
doesn't
see
track.
like that overlap because like like when they teach us they're like oh these are like Slavic languages or whatever, right? And then like you find out like no, like they don't understand each other. It's not like a common enough language for that to really be a thing.
Yeah, a lot of Slavic languages are. Well, actually, Polish and Czech are pretty similar, and Slovak. So it depends when if you're close to a country. Like language is a gradient, I
You
think.
sticks
Like
close
a lot
enough,
of
but
things, yeah.
yeah,
So
you get to like Yugoslavia, and you're like, what is this?
yeah. You have also like words that sound the same but mean different things. So there's a lot of like miscommunication that can potentially happen.
oh yeah, you see that a lot with English and French.
False friends, I
Because
think
I
it's
mean,
called.
English and French are
Yeah,
different language families, but English borrows a lot of Latin, so there's a lot of vocabulary overlap with French.
Yeah.
But there's what are so called the faux amis, or like false friends,
Yeah.
where there's a word that sounds the same in French but means something different. So like there's sensible and sensible written the same way, but sensible means sensitive, not sensible.
There we
So
go.
those are things you have to watch out for when you're learning other languages. Um, so, speaking of other languages, I don't have a segue regarding other languages, but I did want to mention that the Dice Awards happened a couple of weeks ago now, which are kind of if the Game Awards are the Golden Globes of gaming or the MTV VMAs of gaming, then the Dice Awards are kind of like the Oscars of gaming,
yep.
except for not at the same kind of scale. Right? They're like these really tiny things. They're not set in a huge auditorium. It's more like it's a kind of dining hall or convention center kind of approach, and everyone's seated at tables. Um, and every year they're hosted by the same people, Greg Miller and Stella Chung, who essentially roast the games industry and make fun of
Yeah, it does
AI,
get a
which is
little
very
like
welcome.
yeah, it gets a little inside baseballery more than I think, you know.
Yeah, and in some ways that's welcome. Like, um, they're obviously not the same kind of consumerist commercial spectacle as the Game
Mhm.
Awards.
No.
Um,
Can you
but
even like watch it somewhere, or is it
yeah,
like an?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
streamed.
Okay.
streamed on
I've never
the
seen it.
IGN website.
Yeah. I guess I
Um,
have only like most people. I think I only have so much in me when it comes to like watching award ceremonies. And if I'm going to watch one, it's one with the trailers and one with the spectacle.
oh
This
yeah,
one, yeah, I'm the same. So you're not
I
gonna get me
fully
to say anything about
understand.
it. Yeah.
It's just that if the only reason I'm bringing it up is that a couple of years ago I made a commitment that this podcast would cover both the Game Awards and the Dice Awards, just as kind of like
What a
not exactly a
devil's
protest,
bargain.
but more like a let's kind of take this seriously sort of thing. Um, and even taking it seriously, I did find that this year the Dice Awards are a little awkward. There's a
Got
lot
weird.
of um, a lot of mention of AI has kind of wrecked the industry both directly and indirectly. Directly as in people trying to replace game devs with AI. Indirectly as in sending the price of hardware skyrocketing, so now people aren't going to buy the hardware on which they play games. And upcoming gaming hardware like Steam machines doesn't seem like it's coming out anytime soon. Um, and
Man,
then you
the
have a
price
whole
of
bunch
RAM.
of game industry execs also like presenting awards. So like Todd Howard shows up and hands out an award. Um, it's a little bit of an like a split personality type sort of thing going on in that award show. Um, I
I
don't know
think
how you resolve that.
the other. I mean, I think there was some interesting in what was nominated a little bit compared to the Game Awards. A lot more love for Death Stranding too. I thought when I thought it would have been the opposite because you know how much Jeff loves Kojima. But I didn't. Maybe it was just me. I didn't really feel like this was highlighting a lot of like indie stuff. Honestly, I felt like this was a pretty mainline show.
So the
As
difference
far as
between Game Awards and Dice Awards, like Game Awards, I know that I have a pool of critics that vote on
Mhm.
stuff. How about Dice Awards? What's the
It's an
I think it's pretty.
academy
jury?
Yeah, it's an account like I want to say like an Oscar.
AIAS.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's the
okay.
same
I thought you
setup
said
as the Oscars.
AI Academy, AI jury. We programmed this
Yeah,
in
that's
Hey,
what
I
I've
just,
looked at
your
actually.
game is great.
Yeah, the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences.
Okay, okay, all right, okay.
um, so I saw a couple like I don't know if I want to Dispatch. I think is the most mid game of the century, and it's still seen all these awards for it. Okay,
Oh,
whatever.
hot
But
take.
what was there anything in there that surprised you?
I'm
Um,
looking at the winners right now, and I don't see anything very surprising.
it was weird that Arc Raiders got so much praise and an award when uh, they had all those AI controversies.
Yeah, and it also feels like that was riding a very specific high right then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where when it came out, and that I think now is when the live service problems are starting to kind of hit for it a little bit more. Um, Ghost of Yotai took a fair amount of awards, I think, as well.
Two
Just
awards, yeah.
overall,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yote over
Oh,
Clarence
3
Give
awards.
or Mario Kart World for music is
Oh
wild.
no! Oh geez, 8 nominations, but how many
yeah,
wins for
And
the?
I have
Okay.
nothing against Ghost of Yote. I haven't played it. I played Tsushima and loved it. But
Yeah, 3 awards
yeah,
for Yote.
in
Yeah.
music, come on.
I think
That's wild.
I think too, like you started to have because they're not as big about not having um like multiple things from the same game. So you can kind of have like how the Oscars sometimes have like a split vote, right? So like character was two from Claire Obscure, two from Dispatch, right? So I wonder if that kind of like splits the vote. You know what I mean? And then Ghost of Yotai ends up winning.
Mm.
Yeah, it's entirely possible, but also like I mean, I think people just have a lot of residual love for Erika Ishii. Um, and to be fair, they're great at what they do. So no disrespect there. But yeah, you do
But
see you can
it
get
is
voting for sure.
like with Oscars. It's part of it is recognizing talent, and a little
Hmm.
bit of it is also popularity contest. It's
Sure.
Oh yeah.
always has been like that.
But
All
I mean,
awards are like that. Yeah.
Jennifer English is she's like the queen of voice acting right now, I think too.
Mm,
So
mm,
that
mm.
helps. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't. I did think that oh, Jesse Pinkman was pretty good in Dispatch. I didn't know if he deserved
Jesse
that.
I like that he has like the coalesced into this one character for the rest of his life.
No, that's who he
Yeah,
is.
Jesse
Everybody knows
Pinkman.
what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I thought he was pretty good, but I think it also kind of helped that at least like his personality from Breaking Bad seemed very close to that character. So I think that helped. And I think Laura Bailey's also gotten a billion awards. So maybe that's kind of why they thought, go with that one. But that was the only one that kind of surprised me, I think. But I was thinking about
Also, I
maybe the
think
split the votes.
like yeah, there's I think there's a way in which like AAA games and games that have access to a lot of motion capture and emotion, displaying emotion on character,
Mhm.
like give the actors more to play with than indie games that all you do is, well, it's a lot still, but you give your performance in voice acting, and that can be overshadowed by the bigger motion capture.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that you know how Merv hates what is it? Games for a purpose. What's the one you
Games for
What's the one you
Impact.
hate? Game for
Games
impact.
for Impact. Yeah.
I at Dice. I never like What is it? Technical achievement. I've never really
Hmm.
understood what that award is. Is it graphics? I mean, what do you?
Or maybe just how well it runs overall. Maybe
It's
just
gameplay
like,
engineering and visual engineering.
okay,
That's
engineering.
two very different things
Hmm.
to me, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
I
the
guess if I
the
were to
exact
be a
description
judge. Yeah,
is
yeah.
elements honored include but are not limited to artificial intelligence, physics, engine mechanics, and visual rendering.
that's real. Okay,
Right.
so here's the nominees: Arc Raiders, AC
Mm.
Shadows, Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Doom: The Dark Ages. Like that's a very disparate list, right?
It,
Like,
it makes sense a little bit though, because Doom the Dark Ages had like um
Like the
insanely well
dragon.
des- it's less the dragon. It's more like when I watched Digital Foundry video about Doom the Dark Ages, they said that it was extremely technically proficient, made in such a way that it was smooth, it scaled well with hardware, it didn't have any stutters and stuff like that. And Death Stranding 2 was very similar in that way.
mhm.
Just well designed game. It doesn't it's, I think, overall technical prowess of a game, of how well it runs and how well it scales. I
So
think
you're
that's
ignoring
how
stuff
I
like
see
the
it.
story and
Yeah,
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 okay.
yeah.
I mean,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
I guess, yeah.
But like Bonanza's interesting because it actually doesn't
Mhm.
run super well on a Switch
No, but
2.
it does interesting
But it
things
does,
with.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does a lot of tech things that no other game pretty much ever has done.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you a
Um,
game then, if that's what we're going by, I'll tell you one snub then for that category. I think Avowed might be the most like visually like interesting game I've played in a very, very long time.
is that
Interesting.
art direction though, or like
I
technical
don't know
rendering?
because I mean it works with the world, so I don't know
Yeah,
if that's technical or art direction. You know?
yeah.
Well, it's more like when it comes to technical, is how if people from Digital Foundry looked at it, would they be impressed? I think that's the gist. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
how how the FPS meter goes in, how much stutter there is and stuff like that.
It's just like
That's
Rich
the vibe
Ledbetter
I
and,
see.
and get his take, and
Yeah,
then that's
yeah,
how you
yeah.
determine.
But that's the vibe I'm getting. It's fun that they have a category that acknowledges how stable a game is. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from like an academy devoted to quote unquote
Yeah.
interactive arts and
Yeah.
sciences. And it makes sense why you don't see that show up at like the Dice Awards or the BAFTAs. Sorry, at the Game Awards or the BAFTAs. My apologies. So that was the Dice Awards. Couple of big news items that happened this week. We're recording this on February 22nd, so by the time this comes out, a whole bunch of other stuff might have happened, and there might be news updates. So we're just kind of reacting off the cuff right now. Earlier this week, Sony, after having purchased the studio, I think 4 or 5 years ago now, um, shut down Bluepoint Games,
Yeah.
well known for their remasters and remakes. Uh, so That came as a shock to everyone. It turns out that they had been working on a live service God of War game that got canceled. Um, I don't have anything more insightful to say than what hundreds of people have already said, which is that it was weird to put the remake studio on a live service game, and also Sony's live service push, aside from Helldivers 2, has pretty much been a top to bottom failure.
Yeah.
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 And it just swallowed up yet another studio. We saw Firewalk get shut down. Was it last year or 2024? Now I forget. Bungie's been running into issues, and now Bluepoint is also
This is
gone.
this has been what, like a slow motion failure now for how many years from them?
Yeah.
That
This seems like a change of strategy that they had at one point and they're
Yep.
sticking to it and it's falling apart.
I mean, we said when they announced, what was it, 14 live services game, Merv? It was a
12,
lot. It was double digits,
12,
right?
yeah.
And we were like, this is a fucking disaster waiting to happen. Like,
Yeah.
we're not executives, but holy shit, like I saw that. We all saw this coming. I
Yeah,
wonder if that
because
was the same feel in the studio to be like, there's no way this works. You're gonna
Yeah, they're
cannibalize so much of
yeah,
the
exactly.
population. You
Yeah.
know,
it,
like
it's not so much that at that point you're able to compete against live services made by other companies. It's that you have live services made by your own company competing against each other.
Yeah.
Um,
I would definitely agree. Yeah.
it, I
And
mean,
then, I
in
mean,
the
they're
end, almost always.
notoriously low success rate in general. Anyway,
Right.
right, like live service games, so it's like it's a risky thing to get into. Like no matter how big you are.
And even when you
Maybe
tie
they
yourself
just
to stuff
tried
like
14 games and they were
yeah,
like, at
one will
least
hit.
one of them has to bring in the big bucks.
I mean, my classic example of live service games is Avengers. You were tied in with the
Oh
biggest name
god.
in entertainment pretty much when that game came out, and it the floor fell out of that game. No one was playing that thing. That thing was $5 within what, like 6 months of launch.
At
I
least it
mean,
wasn't deleted.
yeah,
At
exactly.
least it was a recall.
Unlaunched and then deleted. But I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
it is no
there's
longer available for purchase.
oh really?
Oh,
Yeah.
There's
didn't
some
know that.
pretty high profile failures though. I think like you were saying, Ben. I mean, this is a graveyard of you know uh, surefire smash hits and properties that it cannot fail that somehow did fail. you know, and I think, was it the cult of positivity around Concord? That's always going to be a good one to like follow, right? Highguard, thinking they were
Highguard,
like
yeah.
so shit hot out the gate, they're going to be the end one more thing. And then they kind of
Yeah.
went on the internet and blamed the hype, kind of.
Well,
It's
I can
weird.
so
understand that.
that let's actually get into that situation. What had happened was it was Keeley, after having played the game, who offered them at zero cost
Mhm.
a trailer slot at the Game Awards, and they didn't know that they were going to be the one more thing. But their whole plan initially was to just shadow drop the game in January. Um, and so they didn't have any of their marketing ready to go because at the last minute they were offered this slot. And so, of course, you don't refuse, but then they
Yeah,
don't have any marketing. So that's why it seemed like they went radio silent for a
that was
month.
the. Yeah, I think though, if he offers that, I don't know when that happened or how that like all went down, but I think if you find out that, you've got to almost build into that after that. Hey, here's one
Oh,
more
yeah.
thing, and
It's
now
all hands
we're
on deck on the marketing effort at that
yeah,
point, right?
yeah.
Otherwise,
It's like, hey, you want this golden goose? Yeah, sure. Okay, well, here's the golden goose. Okay, well, now go make it lay eggs. Like, man, that's a
yeah,
gift.
it's
You
it's a
gotta,
it's a poison golden chalice almost at
yeah,
that point, right?
exactly.
So
Very
yeah,
odd.
like I don't know how they could have done it differently. But also it seems like even accounting for that, it didn't seem like they had a lot of runway after the initial launch. Like this did launch to having at its peak around 100,000 concurrents. This thing was like lots of people checked this thing out, and then it the bottom fell out from underneath it. So it just didn't seem like they had a lot of runway now that they've started laying off staff.
Yeah,
And I don't think you can launch these kinds of experiences without having that runway to build out the content, respond to user concerns, and maybe they do have to take the kind of model where they launch with a public alpha or public beta, so people can go in there, mess around with it, and then respond to user feedback, so they can do their 1.0 with a big fanfare and everything kind of in place so that they're only really making tweaks and then doing the content march after launch, rather than kind of trying to repair the game while they're also trying to put out new content. But then again, like, it all has to do with their funding schedule, and if their funders are pulling funding because they're not turning a profit right away, depending on how those clauses are written, then I don't know what they can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Interesting scenario. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. We've seen a few like one more things that like, okay, well that looks kind of weird, but to come out of nowhere with this, I think I've said this for a while. I think every game show I've mentioned this. Like I think they've always craved. What year was Fallout 3? The had one more thing that must have been forever
all
ago,
four,
right?
you mean?
Fallout 4, yeah, sorry. When it was just like, oh yeah, and you can go play it tonight, right?
That wasn't Fallout 4 was never shadow dropped. Fallout Shelter was shadow dropped, I believe, at either E3 or a summer game fest.
I remember it
It
being a
was,
high
I
Howard
think,
note thing.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
then
remember if it was
Fallout
an
4 was
announcement.
announced, but coming out just a few months after the announcement.
Okay, yeah. So
Mhm.
I think they've always craved that though, is that like, and one more thing, and you can go play it tonight. Like we are so exclusive. We're telling you that a game is coming out. Feels cool, you know? But I don't know. I mean, Highguard, as someone who actually kind of does play those types of games and likes those kind of games, this was like five different types of game in one. And it would have really benefited them to kind of take that lead off and tell you more about the game and how it plays and how it can appeal to like different types of person who does play like an arena shooter or a battle shooter or a battle royale, I should say. But it kind of just like left it all open and then like, okay, well, I think did they have a beta or was it just like a stress test? I can't remember now.
There's nothing.
Nothing. Okay, well, there you go.
Nothing.
Like,
That's the problem.
yeah,
Like, they didn't even do
yeah,
a stress test.
yeah,
So they had a lot of technical issues on launch day. What they were seeing was that so many people tried the game out, and then they
yeah,
weren't getting out of the tutorial because there were so many technical issues. They just gave up.
yeah,
But
Um,
that's still a story of a studio making a game they wanted to make. But Bluepoint, like
yeah,
Bluepoint,
yeah. It's a
Bluepoint.
beloved. And you know what's so funny now is guess what game is getting the backlash for Sony canceling canceling or closing down Bluepoint? Marathon. People are all going on the internet like, I'll never buy Marathon
It's
because you
weird.
guys got rid of Bluepoint. Somehow they're catching all the heat for it.
I've heard that there's a resurgence of people being mad that Bloodborne remake isn't coming out now that Bluepoint is for sure not making anything else.
People are
Yeah.
always mad about Bloodborne, though.
That's true.
Everyone's been asking for Bloodborne 2 or Bloodborne Remastered since pretty much like since the day Bloodborne came out. Like 3 months after Bloodborne comes out, oh, the graphics aren't up to stuff. Remaster.
I mean, honestly, it's a game that it's the only Souls games that's stuck at 30 FPS, and it's one of the better ones. So people have been a little bit, up in arms about that, understandably. But that's how Sony wants it. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, if you want to play a Souls game at 30 FPS, just fire up the Surge and run like 50 other things in the background on your
There
PC.
you go.
There you go. Um, the other big news from this week, and this is very recent news, is it broke on Friday afternoon. Phil Spencer, as of Monday, out at Microsoft,
Hmm.
and Sarah Bond is following suit. Spencer is being replaced from the head of Microsoft's Core AI team, Asha Sharma. Um, yeah. Uh, okay. So I'll give my own opinion here. I'm someone who has, you know, uh, on this podcast, soured on Phil Spencer over the
Yeah.
past few years. And while also recognizing that I would place more blame on Satya Nadella for the current state of Xbox than I would on Phil Spencer for various reasons. Um, Even so, like, even having said that Phil Spencer needs to go, uh, This is worse.
Yeah.
This is much, much worse.
I agree. I was kind of like, what are we doing? It seemed like that at least with Spencer, like they had, okay, like we know this is unpopular. We know this is, it seems like we're giving up, but at least they had a direction. Now it feels like they're trying to like change course midstream, right? Like, and dump it all on AI to fix it. Maybe I don't know. The AI is the most concerning part of me. That the person that they put in charge, she has a mostly AI background. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's
When I
tough.
first read the headline, it
Mhm.
said, I don't know if rock paper shotgun, I think headline of like Phil Spencer to be replaced by AI CEO or some AI executive. And I was like, wait, they made an AI that trained on executives, and now they are, and I was like, well, that seems dystopian enough for Microsoft to try it. So this is slightly less concerning, but still very concerning.
Look, if we can have agentic programmers, we can have agentic CEOs.
Yeah, of course. Like replace them. Maybe they would make better decisions.
Yeah,
Who
like
knows?
at this point, I don't even know what this is going to turn out to be. It's still very early. It's not promising given that it apparently Shadowma started playing video games in January, according to her gamer tag. Um,
But at least you can see Phil Spencer online play and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's.
yeah,
Oof.
maybe he was playing a little too much,
Yeah.
but like, okay, I'll give Shadowma this. It seems like she has taken to liking video games, but if
That's
you're
good.
here
That's
in
good.
Well, that's good.
like she's played through all the like a whole bunch of Halo campaigns. She seems to have a love for walking simulators like Firewatch and What Remains of Edith Finch. So she's trying the gamut of stuff, and she actually seems to be sticking with certain things according to her gaming tag history.
I mean, this is the best we can hope for, really, isn't it? That she
Yeah.
didn't care about AI and she doesn't care about gaming, and she's just a good enough business person to get out of the way and allow, and not sink Xbox.
That's
Rather than being like an AI kind of fanatic who comes in
Oh
and
yeah,
tries to,
that's a really good point
think that
because
AI
at
can
least
do things.
at least at my company, I don't know, this might not be true everywhere, but the people in my company who are involved in AI are often most often the people who are like AI can't do this, right? It's usually the execs or the people who like sell the AI to us that are like AI is a solution for everything, right? But at the company level, there's a lot of people like in my company who I'm like when we have the one-on-ones in the meetings and somebody's like, "Oh, we can use AI for this." A lot of the actual AI people are like, "No, this is not a good use case," and stuff like that. So maybe that's kind of hopeful in her background then that she's not going to force AI. And it does sound like I think one of the first things she said was like no AI slop, but
Oh yeah,
you know,
but
to be
yeah, but
determined.
I'm I'm
slop
slightly
is easy to
concerned.
say,
Yeah.
I'm
right?
slightly concerned that this is a Bobby Kotick 2.0 situation.
Yeah.
A
Well,
person
it's
that
easy to
came
say
out,
no
you know,
AI slop, right? But
yeah.
if you think that AI can actually produce good work, then you would say, well, we want the good AI and not the bad AI.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, if the character models have 5 fingers, we're in business.
Yeah.
Um, and
Just
again,
worried that somebody from outside came in and they're going to make the business decisions instead of
well,
there's
I don't.
sometimes these companies hire people that are so separated from the product they are selling, they don't understand the product, right?
My, I'm kind of gonna build off what Ben said though, which is like maybe you just want them to be the business person running the product without really experiencing it, because the worry is that she's played enough games now to think she understands games, despite the fact that she's only been gaming for a month and a half, and that's like ripe Dunning Kruger effect territory, right?
Yeah.
That she's gonna think she knows the medium and the industry and the creative and technical process off 6 weeks of playing video games.
Sure. And
It's
I think
yeah.
if leaning on Matt Booty probably will help as well.
Yeah,
I know he's been around forever, so I mean,
like
he's
he understands
kind
the
of
industry,
yeah. So I
but
think maybe if that ends up being a situation where you trust your advisors a little bit, maybe then that works out. But 6 weeks is scary, man. I don't know. That's like I don't know.
I
Good
mean,
luck, I guess.
what could they screw up? It's Microsoft. What kind of which studios they actually would ruin by screwing things up in the space in the
At
medium?
this point, like before the problem with Microsoft execs is that there were too hands off with their studios.
hmm
Now I think we're at the point where we kind of want them to be hands off because we know that studios like Obsidian and Playground and the Coalition are going to deliver, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of just gotta let them cook.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so hopefully they're allowed to cook. Um, so that's been a depressing week of gaming news. Let's get into what we've been playing lately. I'm gonna head us off because I think I've been playing the most games.
Oh, big time gamer here.
Big time, yeah, big time gamer. Um, I've been playing a game called Paranormasight: The Mermaid's Curse, the sequel to Paranormasight: The Seven Mysteries of Honjo. Um, so when the first Paranormasight game was announced a few years ago, uh, people were like, "Wait, Square Enix is publishing a visual novel that seems very low budget and was probably made by like 10, 15 people? Okay." Um, and apparently that game was successful enough to warrant a sequel, which
Oh.
makes me very happy because the first Paranormal Sight kind of ruled. Um,
And is that what it is? It's a low budget visual novel, or was that the impression people got and they were incorrect? Is it straight up visual novel?
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
it is
visual
straight up
novel.
visual novel, but with a twist. So it's like adventure game slash visual novel, which in
Mm.
like the Japanese game taxonomy would be called an adventure game. Um, So it's exactly that. It is a pretty low budget visual novel slash adventure game. But the twist, what makes it special, is that it has a lot of meta elements. So solving a puzzle might involve like going into your options screen and messing around with the options to make a certain thing happen in the game. Um, Although this particular game so far, compared to Seven Mysteries of Honjo, I'm about 6, 7 hours in at this point. Don't 6, 7 meme me; I will destroy you.
I
Six
literally
or
can't even
seven.
say I can't even say it in my house. It's so ridiculous right now. I feel like if I accidentally even say it, like the kids are gonna pop out. It's God. Okay. Anyway.
My sister does it to me, and my sister is 41 years old. So I'm
It's
like,
universal. That's why it's when people after 30 start doing it, it's not cool anymore. I think this is slowly dying. I don't know.
like
Continuing though, paranormal side.
yeah, the second I heard someone at work say it, I was just like, "Oh my god, you're in your 50s, stop." So Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse, it is a little bit less horror focused than Seven Mysteries of Honjo for those who played it. Seven Mysteries of Honjo was like a horror game with jump scares and a lot of spookiness. This one's more supernatural, more about like ancient Japanese legend. Um, so instead of being set in Tokyo, this one's set in rural Japan, on an island, mostly on an island off the coast of the Iseshima Peninsula. Iseshima, sorry, is a pretty popular tourist destination on Honshu. Also very important in Japanese history and in Shinto lore. And in this particular game, the plot hasn't really taken shape. About 6.5 hours in, there are a lot of overlapping mysteries. There was a sudden storm 5 years ago that claimed the lives of several of the island's denizens. Um, some background characters have mysterious or, some of the main characters have mysterious or unexplained backgrounds. Um, there are mummified mermaids' corpses that have washed up on a beach.
Fun.
So there are a whole bunch of these mysteries and a whole bunch of different characters. You play, by my count so far, as 4 different characters, um, each having their own mysteries to solve, and they kind of run into each other. And it's obvious that all these mysteries will intertwine down the road. But so far, very interesting. very neat mix of like a lot of history. Like there's an in-game codex that'll just tell you all about all these Japanese legends from the year 1500. Um, a lot of history built into it. Very neat experience so far.
Cool. Sounds
Yeah.
neat. I've
You've
been
been
playing a
on a
bunch of games
tear
too.
with a lot of
So,
visual novels too, huh?
Who has been
oh
on
yeah.
Terra?
You was the one you were playing last week or last time we were talking.
Uh,
I
Big
can't remember.
Hops? No, I had started Earth Must Die the last
That's
time we
it.
were talking,
Yep.
which we will get into later in this episode.
Soon.
Um, uh, yeah. So that's Paranormasight. Science. What have you been playing?
Well, I can. You can pick, I guess, from a list I have. So lately, I've been playing Space Warlord Baby Trading Simulator. That's one.
Oh, let's talk about that one. That's the new game from Strange Scaffold, right?
Yes, yes. But also I played Cairn, which was pretty great, Absolum, and a little bit of Mugenics. Very controversial title lately. But yeah, Space Warlord Baby Trading Simulator. Um, so it's it's an obvious satire of capitalism. You are playing as the bad guys, basically. So there's in a far-flung future of alien races populating the galaxy. Everything that can be speculated is already cannot be speculated on because a lot of AI, super advanced AI, is perfectly predicting how things will go. So people can't speculate or anything anymore, and no cash can be made. So what people have figured out the AI's weakness is speculating the life of a being at when they are still a baby. So what you're speculating on, you're picking a baby, the AI is going to speculate its life, and you are basically buying stocks when their life of how well their life is going. So it speculates from its birth, basically, and you can buy stock at the very beginning, obviously, and then it either goes up because there's good things happening in the baby's life, or it can go down when the baby is having a very bad time, and it goes from the birth to the end of the life, however long that might be, and it's basically like fast forwarding through events in life, and you buy and sell and buy and sell, and you can short a baby. So short stock. So you're saying, oh, this baby is on the precipice of things going very badly in its life. I have
This
to
baby's
like
gonna suck.
baby's gonna suck. So
Yeah.
I
So
short
you
this
sell the
baby.
baby before the price just like
You
plummets.
you sell this stock, not the baby itself, thankfully, but the stock of the baby is going to be sold, and you pray to the gods that the baby
Oh,
is going
so
to have a very rough time.
you're selling baby futures essentially.
Yes, basically you're betting on baby futures,
Okay,
and you
but you're not actually
can
trading the children.
no, not the children, their lives. You're betting on their lives,
Okay,
and you can
that's
hire
slightly less dystopian
speculators.
than I had.
Yeah, well, but you are very happy when the baby like when it's like 8 years old, and if you short it very quickly and you see that it only has life expectancy of 20 years old, and you might short it very early, and you pray that at like 8 years old it's going to swallow some tranquilizer so it gets a very bad time and you can earn a bunch of money, so you're still a horrible person.
Oh, can you interfere in insider? Well, the two things. Can you insider trade, and can you interfere in the baby's life to like kind of make good on your investments? So
You
let's
can,
say,
yeah.
so like hypothetically, let's say I want to make a lot of money, so I would short baby futures on a baby that maybe was actually promising, but then I kind of go and poison that baby when they're 5 years old.
Man, this is really hitting
That
hard for as a former gifted kid.
so you
Oh
can hire
no.
speculators that tell you with a degree of certainty how well a baby is going to, like, for example, there are a couple of different speculators. So one speculator can tell you, okay, what's the bottom price of the stock of this baby? The second speculator, more or less, what's the life expectancy of the baby? You know, let's say the baby is going to live between 60 and 80 years old. You know, so you're sure that until it's 60, it ain't gonna die. So you can buy and sell stock until it reaches that age. And another speculator is going to be like, well, okay, so we're pretty sure that this baby is going to have like a quite positive life. So you know that its stock is going to be rising and rising and rising. You know, so you can buy low when it's at birth and then see how well it goes up throughout its life and stuff like that. So that's the decisions you can make. You can also side bet on other babies and stuff like that. But you have like a couple of babies to choose from at the beginning. And then you choose one of the babies, you go through that life, and then it dumps you back into the baby choosing stage, basically. But there are different planets, and you can pick different planets, and different planets have different things affecting them. Like, oh, this planet has that. Babies on this planet are this planet joined a warfare program because there were no wars in the galaxy, so they said their planet is going to be the war planet. Because somebody has to earn money for selling guns. So babies born here are going to have a very tumultuous life, you know. So you know that it's going to be ups and downs and ups and downs. And also there's a storm happening, so there's also a thing happening that makes the shorts like very profitable or something. So there's a lot of decisions there, but when it comes to like pressing the button, okay, I'm going to start betting, you can't impact the baby's life. So whatever the baby happens to the baby is up to the baby. You just can bet on it, and that's it.
Okay. So you're telling me about timeframes of up to 60 or 80 years.
Sometimes 150, you know, up to like 200
So
they go.
Jeez.
is the idea that you're immortal? Like you have to witness these 150-year timeframes, right?
So basically the speculation of AI is rock solid, and it happens in a couple of minutes, but it speculates very quickly at the beginning. So the lore is that the AI is going to start speculating on this baby, and it's not the actual years that are going by in this baby's life. The AI is just processing what the life of this baby is going to be like. So
Okay.
yeah, so
So it's a highly accurate simulation.
yes, highly accurate simulation, and it's the babies are at an age that the AI can start very thoroughly surveying their life into the future from beginning to end. So that's what you're like speculating on. That's what you're betting on.
Okay.
But in lore, you are different characters. So those are different mini campaigns, and every campaign has couple of days. And throughout those couple of days, betting on different babies, you have to earn a certain amount of credits.
Okay, so this is a game with like levels and the
Yeah.
credit sequence. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
It's a crazy game. If you want to feel like a dipshit, if you want to feel like the worst
like
person,
stock market gambler.
yeah. If you want to champion a baby doing something horrible, like ordering death squads on a mining planet, and be like, yes, baby, do it, then this is a game for you. Of course,
My
it's
own
an
kids, so
obvious
I feel like I
satire.
kind of do this in real life.
I am super, super down for this. It sounds
It is very funny, though.
completely
Yeah, it is,
bonkers. I remember Xavier Nelson Jr. Promoting this on social media because around the same time as this game's marketing campaign was ramping up, that was when he had his first kid. And he was just like, I swear to God, I didn't have a kid as a bit. I promise you that this is a real baby that I had separately from the marketing campaign.
This is a marketing.
I know I'm a clown. I know I do things for bits, but this is a real baby. Please.
That would be hilarious. Also, very not much like this game. Obviously, wants to make fun of these people, of these monsters. So obviously, that's not the vibe I'm getting from the developer. And it's a very funny game. I would. It's not very expensive either. It's like $10. So I think around that. So yeah, if you have $10, I recommend it. It's fun. It's fun time, and they are adding a lot of content to it. Like every week, they are adding a lot of stuff. So it's like I think last week they added like 2 new campaigns or something. So they are constantly for free adding stuff to it.
It's $26 Canadian, so probably around $20 American.
Oh, 20. Okay. More expensive than I thought. Okay, but it's still I think worth it. It's a fun time.
Yeah, sounds like it would be a fun time. Ben, what have you been playing lately?
Well, I am currently working on a I am now working at a place called Blazing Griffin. They're a dev studio based in Glasgow in Scotland. And I can't share what I'm working on, but I can share that for research, I've been playing a lot of narrative games and a lot of puzzle platformers.
Fun.
And so currently I'm halfway through Rhyme. I'm also playing. This is kind of a bit more out of left field, but this I'm playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Yeah,
Cool.
hell yeah, you are.
But
One of Kappa's favorites.
I've almost 100%ed it. I just got the new expansion. I'm flying around as the Fire Clan. Oh my god, I fucking love that game.
okay, well, let's talk about that first then, because I'm only the other game that I was going to talk about, which put a pin in, but is was Gone Home. But
Ooh, that's a fun
yeah,
one.
Frontiers of Pandora. I mean, I'm a big Avatar fan of the fan of the movies, and I really liked. I haven't played many of the Ubisoft games. I did play the first
Oh,
Far
okay.
Cry, and I played a bit of Blood Dragon. But couldn't really get into it. I kind of enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2. That was Ubisoft, wasn't it? That was
Yep.
that was a classic Ubisoft. So I was like, I figure my love for the world, and probably I'm going to assume that they're going to be making this fairly accessible. Like this will be an accessible Ubisoft game. So I was like, any kind of bumps I have up against the Ubisoft formula, probably I'll be able to get through them. But I have to say, I'm not too far in, and man, the amount of systems they have already
Yep.
just like immediately open with very little explanation, and all the different menu screens, and like crafting food, and and I'm in the middle of a firefight, and I open up an ammo container, and there's like a slightly better waistcoat in there or something. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I don't need a waistcoat, I need bullets.
Or then like you're using a bullet, but it's a different type of bullet for that situation. You got to figure out how to switch bullets. Yeah, it's interesting because I've played Ubisoft games like continuously, right? So since the AC era, and I think you're butting up against a different angle of it because I think this is way more toned down than how bad they got around like Far Cry 3 and 4 era. So I know this feels like a lot to you. To me, it feels like they actually went in a little bit less of a direction with some of this stuff. So it's interesting to see that different like shading from somebody who stuck with Ubisoft games to somebody who didn't.
I think what it might be as well is that I turned off. I at the very start I set it to um
Exploration or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want markers all over the place. I don't want
Mhm.
big flashing arrows and stuff. I want to feel like I'm in Pandora,
Yeah.
and like I knew that might make it a little harder, but I was like I really want the immersion,
So
so I went for that. And so I think that might be scuppering me a little because they're just not telling me anything.
yep,
And
yep, yep.
like whatever they say, like I don't know if you remember this, but right near the start, you get a big achievement, and then you suddenly get a call on your radio saying, "Help! The humans are attacking us. Come and save us." And then you get the little mission saying, "Follow the smoke to go to this
Oh,
new
yeah.
I've been to
Yeah.
before. It's west of this forest and it's south of this river, and it's like, okay, firstly, I can't see any smoke in the sky, so that's not helped.
You
And
haven't explored
I
enough of the
don't know
map to
whether
see the names.
well, but this is it. Like, so I look on the map and it's like, okay, you haven't labeled this forest or this river, so all I've got is west. So
Yep.
I'm just like, I'm just going to keep on going west, and like, I keep on getting like new bits of dialogue, and that's the only way that I know that I'm going in the right direction. But and they give you 6 minutes to get there, and it took me like 5 goes. I almost gave up on the game. I was
I
like,
remember
this
this.
is
Yeah, I
killing
remember
me.
exactly what you're talking about. What
But
I mean, this might
it's
help as maybe like an advice that might help
mm,
is you can turn that on and off, right? So what I usually
Yeah.
do is do like the main quest in an area with that on, and then it's like, okay, head on to the next area. Then I turn it off and just like roam around, do all the side stuff, because you don't feel as
right.
like time gated with some of the side stuff as you do the main stuff. The main stuff feels like you got to do it right now, but after you do X amount of number of them, they're like, okay, go talk to the different, the sky people or whatever, right? And then I turn it off and I kind of just roam around doing the side quests and stuff like that.
I
Yeah,
think this is
maybe I'll,
something that somebody from QA should have been like, maybe make the smoke more like popping
Hmm.
up in the sky so that we
it's
can see
weird.
it,
It's it just wasn't there, and I think I was wondering whether because what happens as well when the it's so silly, but when the humans start to attack a holy Navi site, or even like even an old human installment that the Navi have now taken over, everything starts going grey.
Yep.
Like they've polluted the local area, and like just your vision basically, like just the screen is grey. Is like what's the word? Not monotone, but like it's grey tone. Like
Yeah.
but it's supposed to make you think, oh no, this gorgeous, like colourful forest that I've got used to has been drained of all its life and colour. I now have learnt a lesson about climate change or whatever. But I was thinking, like, have they not considered the fact that now I can't see the smoke against the sky because everything's grey? So
Yeah.
I wondered whether that was the problem there.
Yeah,
But
and there's like degrees of gray too, which can be kind of frustrating because like you're like, okay, well, is this just like fog from this area, or is this there humans nearby or stuff like that? What I've learned to kind of do is cheat by well, not cheat, but look at the mini map as kind of like the deciding factor of okay, is this smoke worth investigating or not?
I think
Yeah.
this is a cool idea that wasn't their focus. So
Yeah,
you know,
and
Yeah.
Ubisoft games get bloated in very weird and specific ways, and I on it like I know this sounds crazy, but I think this is one of the ones that has that a little bit less than some of the other ones. But the way that they kind of handle some of that is by trying to give the players visual clues that once you catch on to, you're like, oh, okay. But if you don't catch that clue, it's always going to be frustrating to you. And then you'll go online and tell me like, oh, when you're looking for this thing, if you look for this type of plant or this bug that floats in the air, that'll tell you when this plant is nearby. And
Oh yeah, like the in-game codex has a lot of that information. Like
yes,
it's really neat how they've set this all up. But I think when I played, I didn't make it through most of the game. I intend to go back to it at some point. Um, when I was playing it, what I noticed was it felt like that game really wanted to go all in on that, but then kind of backed off a little bit
yeah,
from it at the last, probably like late in development. Is the sense that I get from playing it.
I get that too,
Um,
for especially from the way the codex is kind of like describes certain areas, it'll be like look for plants that are blah blah blah, but then like I think too many people got frustrated and are like, well, never mind, just go to this area. Because a lot of the later codex entries are like tends to grow up high trees. And then like the newer codex entries are like it can be found in the area here that is located here by these things. Like it gets a lot more specific really quick.
Yeah, that's and like I found the same sort of issues that Ben was talking about like not being able to find necessarily exactly what the game was trying to point me towards, or would kind of point me in a direction but wasn't exactly the direction I needed to go on. So I ended up doing like kind of what you were saying, which is turning that setting on and off as I felt necessary. That's a really cool idea. Like
Hmm.
being able to use your knowledge of the world to navigate it. It's just in implementation, it's frankly a little frustrating and not like not like fully up to what it needs to be to make the experience as like smooth and enjoyable as possible. But really neat idea. So yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
sticking with it, you think, Ben?
Sorry.
Are you sticking with it, you think?
Yeah, I really want to like
Mhm.
partly for the love of Avatar and
Yeah.
partly for the
Have you gotten
money
your
that I
Ikron
spent
yet?
on it.
I'm assuming so, right?
Sorry.
Have you gotten your Ikron yet?
No,
Okay. Game
I'm
completely changes at that point. So at least before you make any like decision one way or another, um, I can't think of many Ubisoft games where that just let you straight up fly like this one
Mhm.
does. I might be wrong. I know you can like make helicopters in some of the Far Cries, but this one is just basically push a button, your Ikron shows up, and you fly. And you can fly across the map. You can fly straight up. You can just fly straight down. There's helicopters and there's stuff to do in the sky and stuff like that. There's a whole XP level for your Ikron. You can feed it certain things. There's a lot going on there. So that to me was when the game really, really, really opened up.
okay. I'll hold on at least till then.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned feeding there, and like
Mhm.
that's just like a good example of one of the things that is frustrating about the game
Yeah.
is that there's this entire food system, and you there's recipes and like you can cook certain things. Then like there's secret ingredients and stuff like that. But like also the health is tied into it,
Yep.
and I haven't had any kind of tutorial about how um food worked, and so I'm just I'm getting into firefights and I have no way of getting health packs or anything like
Es-
that I've
Especially because at
learned.
the beginning of
It's
the game, it kind of holds your hand by giving you those like MREs, like from the
yeah,
humans. And
yeah,
then like when you're let loose in Pandora, it's like you've got to switch from that to like, okay, well, I picked up an egg and some meat and I cook it, and what does this do? And it'll give you the stats, but once you unlock the recipe, it'll show you the different variations. So that helps a little bit too, right?
yeah.
So if you
But
just
it's
generally
still
think
like
meat and egg makes this thing, or egg and vegetable makes this, stuff like that.
yeah, but it's still like so I've got to go and every time I want to stock up on health before a fight, I've got
Hmm.
to go and like find nests,
Go cook.
find an egg, hunt a horse, and then go
Yeah.
and find the barbecue, and it's like and it's and so like yeah, it's a lot of faff.
Hmm.
And like I say, there's just been no tutorial about it at all. And I just kind of expected, I mean, Ubisoft are kind of notorious for like 6 hour long tutorials at the start of their games, and then you get out
Yeah.
the tutorial like, oh, that was all the tutorial. And so I was kind of expecting like a nice, gentle kind of. The people at the research center say, "Oh, we haven't got any lunch. Can you go out and do some hunting? And this is how you do food. And by the way, these plants help you and this, but and like I haven't played it for a week, and I now can't even remember which of the plants that you have to pick up to like for basic health and stuff. And it's really weird how. I mean, on the one hand, I guess it makes sense because you play a Navi who's been brought up by the humans on a base,
You
and so
don't know the yeah.
you don't understand how the planet works. In a way, it makes sense, but it's kind of frustrating and like I feel like I'm the challenge is the game systems, is the challenge is the game designers, not where the challenge should be, you know?
Yep. Yeah, that's a lot of Ubisoft games. You either are in their system or you're not, and at some ways, like it really can affect the enjoyment of your game so much more than like other types of game systems do. I completely understand. Like, especially we've talked about the different Far Cries and the different but they're trying to do their own thing for Avatar, and it's kind
Mm,
of a blend. But truthfully, I mean, having played some of like the more recent Assassin's Creed and Far Cries and stuff like that, the system is, I think, harder to understand, but once you figure it out, it's easier to kind of just do what you want to do within it. Like
mm,
once once you finally figured out the cooking, it's a lot easier than it would be like in Far Cry, trying to figure out like what things you need to hunt to turn into what things that'll let you make a bag, or something like that. It's a little bit less layered than some of the other Ubisoft games. It's still tough to get into, 100%. So hearing that you haven't played probably since Blood Dragon days is really interesting. I'm not surprised you're kind of running into some of that.
Yeah, it does feel as well like they've not given me a chance to stop. They keep on giving me main quests. You have to go and do this now.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
they haven't said like, oh, everything seems okay now. Like you've got a
Yeah.
day or something to just go and run around, come back and see us if you want. You know, like it's it's very odd the way everything's laid out, and like
It takes a while to get to that point.
and,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like another thing, still talking about meat and food, right? Is that this is maybe just me, and maybe this is weird, but I feel like I haven't been given permission to hunt animals
Yeah. Yeah.
because no Navi has taken me animal hunting,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, am I really okay to go and shoot like one of these one of the dire horse or one of the big hammerheads? Or I don't want to kill any of these things because they're all so beautiful and gorgeous.
I
And I
think
know Circle of Life, and I know they do it in the movies, and I know, like I know the games, the systems and the menus are telling me to do it, but I kind of don't want to go and kill anything. So I'm
yeah.
like, I guess I'm a vegan.
It especially because that first tribe you meet is kind of very kind of passive, I would say, even for Navi. Like they're kind of like weavers, they just hang around and they'll do stuff that leaves. When you get to the next level, you'll meet like the plains tribe that ride around on horses and stuff. They get a
Uh,
lot more into like that kind of like lifestyle. But like you're saying, that you don't even know that because that comes, a third of the way into the game, way after where you're at. So I do think there's a hunting tutorial. I just think it's so late in the game that you've probably already done it anyway.
You were made hunt to hunt earlier than that. That's one of
So
the
it
missions.
has you kill the dogs, but the dogs attack you, right? So
Okay.
but like
Isn't
how
there one
there's
where
like
you're
the
hunting like the deer-like things? I might be maybe that's a side quest. It might not be a main quest.
yeah, that might be a side quest. I know you
Yeah.
kill the little dog guys very early on, but it feels more like they're attacking me, so that's why I killed them. And less like, okay, like I'm hunting them for food. So I get what he means. And the game really, 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 really rewards you for like a clean kill. And so
Oh
like
yeah.
that kind of feels like something as well. Like if you're just like shooting the dog to save your life, that's fine. And if you shoot it with a human weapon, it's destroyed. You can't eat it or do anything with it. But later on, if you're just hunting for materials, you're using your bow and you're trying to get the kill spots and everything, so you can get the higher quality items to make better gear and stuff like that. It's very recursive.
Yeah. I do like how it encourages you to exploit the environment in thoughtful ways. Like, you have to pull fruits and vegetables off vines in a specific way, otherwise they break or end up with a lower quality ingredient. I found that like at some level it is like physically annoying to do, but on another level it just makes sense for what that game is and what it's trying to say. So I actually kind of ended up appreciating that.
Oh, I'm gonna love, man. I love Avatar. I'm that kind of person. Like when I walk out of the movie theater, I'm like, God, I just want to live there. So it's
It's a
like
cool
pathetic,
world,
but
and
that's
I will
exactly how I
say
feel.
it feels like Massive really did capture what was compelling about that world, A, visually, and B, also in the lore they put into the game. Like, yes, it is kind of that Ubisoft quote unquote map game, and yes, there are
Hmm.
lots of things that I didn't like about it, namely the combat, but also I can't deny that they were really, really thoughtful in how they put together all the lore, all the writing about like the ecosystems and how the different species all coexist and how everything's kind of in balance.
And
Um,
I wasn't expecting the parkour to be as good as it is in that game, but
oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's pretty fucking good, surprisingly. Like, yeah,
it is an excellent like visual showcase and exploration game, and like the only thing that makes me annoyed is like every time I have to pick up a gun.
yeah,
But
yeah.
everything
No,
else
that's
about that
actually really
game,
true. I'm
everything
like,
else
oh
about that
shit,
game, I'm
I'm out
like,
of
man, this
spears.
is great.
Like time to use a shotgun, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
found
kind of the
the
problem.
I found the shooting like I don't. I'm gonna try and say some positive stuff in a sec, but like yeah, I also am finding the shooting a little floaty and irritating.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of those RPG things where I'm underpowered. at the start, and
Yeah,
so
I think it's
like
a little by design too. I think it's kind of intentional because
yeah,
I
exactly,
do
yeah,
think they
yeah.
want you using the bows and arrows and the like later on you get like that stink bug launcher. And what's the other thing you get? Like a spear thrower? Like an addle I think it's what it's called. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking
that's
about?
way later. I
Yeah, yeah,
I
but
I stopped in the mission. Like I left off in the mission just before you get the Ikron, so I haven't
oh,
gotten any
okay.
of that later stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I
mean, it
will
sounds
go
like
back to
I'm
that.
very, very early on compared to you guys, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I appreciate it's on purpose, but there's two ways of going about this, which is one, make the player character bad at things, and have their aim wobble all over the place, and all this kind of stuff. Like they did the same in like the Last of Us, like where you can't aim properly and all this kind of, and the reverb, like the what's it called, the recoil, and all this kind of stuff. Um, or there is just giving the player a very basic set of tools that work properly and are satisfying, but you get more weapons as you go on, or like Half-Life 2 or whatever. Like the pistol in Half-Life 2 is still awesome, even though you kind of stop using it after the first, well, as soon as you get another weapon. But you sometimes kind of use it if you've amassed 200 bullets or whatever, because it still feels nice. And like that Half-Life 2 way I find that such a better design decision, because it's like I get that I've got to build up and everything, but in the meantime, the combat doesn't feel good. Like what? Like it's such a weird decision to kind of go. I get it. I get what they're trying to convey, but it's like, wait, but in the meantime, this sucks. And also, I know that you're not going to power me
Yeah.
up properly until I'm 80% of the way through the game, and that drives me nuts as well. Where they finally give you all your abilities, and you find that you feel like you feel kick ass, and you've got like an hour left of gameplay. It's like, oh man, he's like, why didn't
I
I have this for the majority of the game? The game just got good, and now it's ending.
So
I
what
will
I'd say,
say
yeah, go
this
ahead.
game doesn't do that. The
Yeah.
issue is that there's kind of a midsection where you're so much better with the human weapons than with the Navi weapons that you just end up using assault rifles to solve all your problems. And that, like, it's not like it's unfun. It just feels like it's not of a piece with what the game is really about. It's not like, oh, I'm picking up an assault rifle because I'm desperate and this is all I have available, and I'm turning the tables on the humans. It's more like, oh, I enjoy using this assault rifle. I'm going to use it to murder a bunch of evil humans.
Yeah.
Um, and I wish they'd balance that out a little bit better so that the Navi weaponry became fun to use and useful sooner.
Yeah, it's so you're exactly right. There's like a dip where like the Navi stuff falls off and the human stuff feels better, but you do get that kind of like power rush at the end of every section. So like when you're kind of wrapping up the Weaver area, they're going to give you so much stuff at the end of that, and all the stuff that you're going to be facing is kind of like there's kind of like a set world level almost. You're just going to be like smashing humans in that Weaver area by the end. Then you'll go to the plains, and it's going to kind of like reset. You're going to be kind of weak because you're facing different types of enemies and stuff. And then towards the end of that, you're smashing stuff again. So like you kind of do get like the ups and downs, but there definitely are times where you kind of get that power fantasy a little bit more. And the skill tree is kind of, I don't know how to explain. It's more like it's less about having active abilities than it is about tuning things into like better percents. So it doesn't really play off until later on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, it sounds like I just need to kind of like stick
Yeah,
with
but
it and wait for stuff to
at
get
least
better.
so you get your Ikron. I think if you're not enjoying it by that point, it's not going to get better. But the very first time you jump on that thing and take it up into the sky,
Yeah,
you're like, oh shit, this is what they were trying to get me to. I get it now.
they've definitely been Ickwan teasing me. Like
Yeah,
I've had a couple of points where I was like, this is it, this is where I get it, and then it flies off, and like, oh no, that's not mine. Okay, fine. But yeah, I'm kind of itching for the Far Cry 1 slash Crisis loop of kind of stealth around, pick people
Mhm.
off, and then once you've picked off like 80%, then you go in and you just go absolutely wild on the last 20%. You just, I want to be that, like you said, the power fantasy of being that, yeah, uh, Nateri kind of, or whoever from the movies, just kind of like jumping into a ship and kind of grabbing 5 people and swinging
yeah,
them around by their
yeah.
ankles. you know. So, but
You get
I
that
don't know,
later
hopefully,
on, definitely. And like the game rewards you for clearing things in stealth, right? The way it handles stealth is similar to Far Cry. So like if you
yeah,
can kill them stealth, great. But if they start shooting at you, as long as they don't alert everybody, it's still technically stealth if you kill them fast enough. So um, it really gives you a little bit of stuff to work with in there. But you'll be clearing like massive bases completely in stealth by the end of the game, and it feels so damn cool. Like you're just walking up to like those like where like the giant mechs, and like disabling them and
mm,
stuff. It's cool.
okay, awesome.
You know,
That's it. I mean,
it's
the presentation is fantastic, and I loved the opening narrative stuff where
Yeah,
you're the kid, and you're the young Navi, and there's like four of you, and clearly one of them is gonna is a bit of an Uncle Tom, and
yeah,
is gonna stab you in the back, and at some point down the line, and yeah, and then there's it's like, oh, Jake Sully's kind of outside attacking, and then you go into stasis, and then you come out and you're going through all these. You're sneaking through all these little tight metal corridors, and then you come out into the jungle, and it's amazing. And
yeah. You're
there's
in the world, but
so much
not
good.
necessarily in the world. It's very odd. Like, and then once it reveals it all to you, like you're learning at it, the player stand-in is almost the perfect way to do it because you're learning
Mm.
Navi as they're teaching Navi. It feels a little more organic.
Yeah. So that stuff's all really good, and I really like looking at the codec and reading about all the animals and going like, oh, this is their, like you say, the ecosystem, and here's their weak spots, and here's what they eat, and all this kind of stuff. So I think probably what I need to do is just go like, right, I'm dedicating an entire weekend to this, and I am learning how all these bloody submenus work, and how I'm supposed to upgrade my jockstrap and stuff, and it's, man, even I'm going negative again now, but even like those menu systems are not clear.
Terrible.
It's
Terrible.
Oh yeah.
really weird that they haven't got that sorted by now, because it's it's incredibly difficult to intuit how you're supposed to do anything, or what's possible and what isn't, and everything. It's really weird. So
I
I think I
remind
just need to kind of dig in.
I remember it being in a special pane on PC, which is where I was
Mhm.
playing it. It felt like maybe it was designed around controller use. But I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's
can't remember. I went for. I think I decided to try controller, and because I'm playing on PC, and I thought to myself, well, simultaneously launched on consoles, so
yeah, it's a
that
very
normally
console game,
means
I
it's
think.
probably going to be a controller game. And then
Yeah.
for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe I didn't. But I feel like the game was not particularly friendly to the controller, and I was just immediately like, no, this is an FPS. This is an Ubisoft. I've got to go mouse keyboard.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's very funny how and this is not a judgment call on the game or the discussion, because I find the discussion actually interesting. It's a weird oddball of a game when it comes to Ubisoft, when it comes to many things. But it's very funny that last time I was on the podcast, it was 2 years ago, and I think it was just when Kappa was started playing Avatar
It
Pandora,
sounds like it's some of the
and
same stuff I said too.
it's the same discussion. That was 2 years ago. It feels like a Groundhog Day for me, but I don't remember out of the discussion. I remember that you were very positive about it, and
Yeah.
it's fun to see how it kept with you, how passionate you're still about it.
Yeah.
Because I when I seeing it from outside perspective, I haven't played it. It does seem like a very Ubisoft style game
Yep.
that isn't like revolutionary in any way, but it's
Well,
apparently very good.
one thing I talked about before, at least for me, is like I always like have like a mood for a game, right? And there's nothing that hits the mood for an Ubisoft game like Avatar. It's like the Ubisoft formula perfected, right?
Mm.
Where you're gonna roam around, you're gonna do a lot of fetch quests, you're gonna pick some stuff, you're gonna hunt some animals, but doing it in a place that's gorgeous helps so much more than
Oh
doing it
yeah.
in like the streets of 1800 London or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it just feels
Yeah,
so
and
much
it's a very
different when you're like,
beautiful game.
Whoa,
It's one of the
whoa,
best
whoa.
looking games.
Excuse me, do not besmirch my 18th century London.
oh, I'm sorry. The majesty of
Listen,
Dickens.
the acid rains were very picturesque.
Yeah, I
And
guess
it's
I could say 1700 America wasn't shining through either, and then
no,
Assassin's
no,
Creed
yeah.
3.
Grim times all over the world.
That was a very
There's been an
brown time.
Assassin's Creed game set, I think, in all of our countries except Poland.
Oh,
Because
Yeah,
Rogue was
yeah,
set in
look at that.
Canada. Yeah.
I think that yeah, there's some stuff with that formula that I think feels a little tired, and I had my problems with Shadows, but it looks like they canceled two of them, and the new one's going to be some kind of horror game called Hexen
Ooh.
or something like that.
Oh,
You hear
that's
about that?
taken, I think.
Assassin's
Well, not
Creed
yeah.
X.
I don't know if it's Hex. I think it's like Hexe or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it can't
okay,
be
okay.
Hexen because that's
Yeah, yeah,
owned by
Yeah.
Microsoft.
It'd be it'd be funny, you
Those
know.
Spencer Wars, sure.
Well, I mean, wasn't
And our main
Hexen?
character is named Heretic.
Who owns? I bet you Microsoft might own Hexen now.
No, Microsoft definitely
Yeah,
owns
yeah.
Hexen.
They do.
Yeah,
Oh,
They own
yeah.
Hexen and Heretic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so weird to
yeah.
think about
Bethesda.
that. But anyway,
yeah.
stick with it. At least you got your Ekron. Then feel free.
Sorry.
It's not hitting that.
Did any of you play Far Cry Primal?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Primal,
Okay.
Nope.
Did you play it?
That seemed to me like after Far Cry 1, like that would be the one that would appeal to me. That was the one I found most intriguing.
Yes.
I haven't played it. But...
It does some things with that formula that I think is really cool. Now, it gets kind of squishy with like some magical bullshit by the end, but the first beginning parts of that game is like it's like, you know how like all those survival games kind of just fucking suck. You're just chopping down trees and finding rocks and stuff like that. I don't know how anybody hasn't looked at Far Cry Primal and be like, oh shit, this is a way better way to do it. Like, there's the way they get you from starting out to like killing stuff in that game. I think is maybe like the best first 3 hours of any type of like survival game you could come up with.
Awesome. Is there much of it in Frontiers of Pandora? Do you think?
I think in two sections, yes. I think getting to the plains area feels like you've discovered a whole new world almost. And I think the way the plains felt to me, especially because they take away, so you're gonna get your Ikron and you're gonna fly all around that area, and then you're gonna plains area and they're gonna take away your Ikron for a little bit, right? There's story reasons it's not, you know what I mean? But then all of a sudden you're riding a
As long as
horse
they give
everywhere.
me a whale in
Yeah.
return.
So you start riding a horse everywhere, and it feels just different enough. And they give you your Ikron back, but then so imagine you're right now you're like at a ground level, then you're going to be at an air level, and then you're going to go back to a ground but speeding around area, and then it's all of a sudden like you see things like, oh, I should just fly up there, and you're like, no, I've got to figure out how to navigate the terrain a little bit more, with the horse or whatever. So it does kind of like give you some back and forths there that I think are really cool. But the way you get to kind of like, um, you know how like you got to make certain items to give to the clans to make them happy with you, so that they give you other certain items, right? Eventually, you're just gonna be
Not
carrying
sure
around
I've
with
even done that yet.
oh yeah, yeah. So eventually, you're just gonna have so much crap in your pocket that like they're gonna be like, oh, we would love for a seed nut, and you're like, here you go, leave me alone. But eventually, you're gonna get to the place where,
There's like trader people. I have met some in the
yeah.
base, the very first base. There's some trading people. Yeah.
So eventually, you're gonna almost become like I don't know, like a privateer Navi. Like, oh
Right.
shit, you guys sell the seed that these guys want down here, and they're giving me a lot of stuff for the seed, a lot of clan favors. So I'm gonna go buy the seed and then drive it down here and then give you the seed. Like, I don't know, it's kind of funny to think of, but like, yeah, you're kind of like trading seeds and bushes and stuff for what people do or don't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I just started the Fire and Ash expansion, but yeah, I'm sticking with it.
Oh man, I wonder if they're going to do a wave water expansion. That'd be
Ooh,
awesome.
man,
What?
I'd
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
play
you've
it over
really
anything else.
you've ramped up my enthusiasm for it. So thank
All
you.
right.
I tell you what, though, I mean, like, if they take away my Ikon but give me a dire horse, then that is awesome because I also want to ride a dire horse everywhere.
Yeah. And
Like, I hope if people don't mind spoilers for Fire and Ash, like I
Go
guess
ahead.
it's I guess it's a fairly big spoiler, but like so I'm gonna like cover your ears for the next 30 seconds, listeners, if you don't want any spoilers of Fire and Ash. Yeah, starting now, Spider gets Avatar. He gets Na'vi powers. And I think like James Cameron knew exactly what he was doing there, because it was just like he starts to grow the little kind of pigtail, the little
Yeah,
ponytail.
yeah, and it's
He's
like
able
in his
to
dreads. Yeah,
connect to one of the dolphin things, and it was just like, and like I said, James Cameron knew what he was doing there, because it's like every audience member was like, "Oh my god, I want to grow and I want that. I want to grow a. I want to go to Pandora and then become the
uh,
very special human who can like become one with all these animals." Oh man, so yeah, so
and
this game is this
yeah,
game is as close
especially
as
the
close
way
as I'm
they
going to get to
handle
that.
the dire horses. There's kind of like that moment where like it doesn't trust you. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of like easy
Right.
girl, like walk up to it real slowly. You
Uh,
know, and it's like yeah, this is pretty smart to do it that way. Like it feels more like you're getting a bond with it than it's just like oh yeah, it's like it doesn't feel like you're getting into a car. You know what I mean? Like it feels
right.
like you're like this is like an actual animal that you've got to like walk up to, and every time it's like a different one. So like it's kind of like you gotta because it's not like an
Uh,
Ikron where like you form a bond with it. It's just like
yeah.
yeah, oh there's a horse, I want to ride it, but you got to kind of do the whoa, calm down, it's me, I'm a friend, and then get towards it. So
Okay. I'm trying to remember. I feel like in the movies but it's probably because they're super practiced at it. But in the movies, it feels like they can jump on any old dire
yeah,
horse, just like
so yeah, the game kind of lampshades that a little bit by saying that the plains people spend so much time with the dire
right.
horses that they can develop the bond. But since you're a sky people, yours is with your Ikron. It's basically like, yeah, the way you guys use an Ikron, that's how we use a horse. Is kind of how they say it. I don't know if that's true to to lore, but I think that's what they
Yeah.
do in the game.
I think they're just kind of allowed to invent lore as they go for the game, and it's just not super consistent with the movie, so everyone just kind of rolls with it.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah. I'm being super nerdy there, but that doesn't actually bother me. That level of kind of slight possible disconnect, I can headcanon that away super easily. So that's not an issue. But
yeah. Sometimes, yeah. A lot of times, especially movie tie-ins, they got to figure out a way to get some of that into, making feel fun. And it goes vice, the other way too. Like, I wasn't super mad that they showed Master Chief's face. I'm probably the only person in the world, but I was like, yeah, but you got to understand, this is a visual medium. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, we're gonna have to see, people emoting and talking and that kind of stuff. So I kind of got that,
I
but
think people were madder about seeing Master Chief's butt than his face.
that's what it was, man. All right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
people do get weird about video game like movie or TV adaptations of video games. It's like you must surely understand as video game players that game narratives work in a completely different way to movie narratives. You can't
Yeah. It's very
like
easy to put yourself in a video game as a stand-in for that character. It's very fucking hard to do that as a movie. You know what I mean? I've
yeah,
never been watching a movie like, oh yeah, I am the guy in Memento. It's like, no, I'm watching a story
yeah,
about a
yeah.
person. It's very different.
And there's a reason I think why TV shows generally are better at doing it, because they're episodic and
Mhm.
repetitive, and that works with the TV show, and it can't really doesn't really work with a movie. So like Half-Life 2 is my go-to example of it's fantastic video game storytelling, but if you just made a movie out of that story, it would suck.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you made a TV show out of that story, it would probably suck as well, to be honest. So like you would really just have to go, we're just going to take the universe and the visuals and the lore and just make a completely different story here, because you can't write video games aren't movies. So you've got to change something, you've got to break it.
I get it. I mean, trust me, I totally get it.
Oh, yeah. If you don't change it, you end up with Ready Player One.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's just fan service.
Yeah.
yeah. Can you imagine someone like writing in their novel adaptation of a game, and then the player character clipped through the wall, much to the confusion of everyone around him?
The character slowly typed IDKFA.
Act 36, the player entered another room full of baddies and shot them all. Hey.
That would be kind of
Somehow,
funny.
half the walls were waist high.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one does have to account for like different media having different strengths and different capabilities in storytelling when it comes to adaptation.
Yeah.
Kappa, what have you been playing?
Oh boy, I almost regret to say this. I have been playing Fallout 4.
Oh, I
Yeah, okay,
thought
so
all this
listen.
regret would be something like Uma Musume. No,
No,
Fallout
no,
4
no,
is
no,
good.
no. Trust
Okay.
me.
Interesting.
When next time we have Thornley Quinn, I'll tell you about all those games I've been playing. um,
Oh my god.
Thornley, she likes adult
Quinley
games.
Thorne.
Yeah, yeah.
Thornley is a
I didn't say
Canadian
Thornley
rock
Quinn.
band. Thornley is a short-lived Canadian rock band
Yeah.
fronted by Ian
Okay.
Thornley.
But um, I man, I ended Fallout Season 2 like I wouldn't say very, but I would say moderately disappointed with Season 2 of the show. I
Same.
don't.
Yeah.
I it's a very weird direction to not just take those characters, but the story. And I've had to give up that this is not Fallout, the world, the lore, the video game. Like we just talked about, I'm fine with that, right? But when you do this thing where like you're gonna have the characters like separated all over, right? And then you're gonna want to bring them together. This is very Stranger Things, right? You got all the characters, they all blow up, they all go around the world, they have all these stories, and they come back together at the end, right? It has to feel right, and it doesn't feel like at any point. It feels like everybody in the show was doing their own fucking thing, and then they just happen to all end up in this town together. It feels like there's so many weird dots being connected to get motivations to do things. I don't know, not a fan of where that show went kind of in the whole back half of that second season. But anyway, I was like, I gotta play some Fallout to kind of get this out of my mouth. So Nexus Mods has this thing now where you can just download a collection, right? So like instead of like doing individually the mods, you download a collection. It comes pre-looted, which is like the load order optimizer. It comes pre-rybashed, and so you basically instead of like your mods being these loose mods, it almost creates like a mini expansion, and it tricks the game to thinking like, hey, all these mods are bundled up. This is an expansion, so just treat it like it loads in an expansion, right? Um, way, 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 way less crashes. I loaded up some heavy duty mods if you're into Fallout modding. I've got sim settlements going on. I've got, I mean, like total conversions, like Rise of the Enclave, all that kind of stuff. I swear this game has crashed twice, and I think both times was because of a sound bug where I alt tab back in. The sound just kept like, blah, 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 and then it just shut down. But I cannot believe how stable I got this game going with 1,200 mods right now. It blows me away. Um, as you might remember, one of my biggest challenges with Fallout 4 is I absolutely love settlement building. I get so addicted to it, like making like reasons for like why this building is here and why this person works here and they're married to this guy who owns this and the shop is over here. Like I get way too in my own head, right? So what I had to do is sim settlement it, which just you put the person in there and then you just let the settlement grow itself. And I've had to just like step back. I check in, see how they're doing, stuff like that. But I've just had to take a step away from that. And so instead, I'm downloading like player houses, right? So like you go there and your house is already kind of like set up. It's not like the settlement system. Um, Fallout 4 on its own, like when you're not modding it, and you're not doing any kind of like other things to it, it has a very slow opening into the world. I feel like more than other Fallout games, right? Like at least as soon as you get out of the vault, you get like that kind of initial thing set, and then it just kind of sticks you in sanctuary, and then it's like, yeah, there's another city down there if you want to go to it, right? I don't mind that as an opening, but you kind of have to remember sometimes that you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be looking for my kid, which is
Yep.
a weird feeling sometimes. Like you can get bogged down in so many other details in Fallout that you forget the main quest. I think maybe you do that a little with the water chip at sometimes in Fallout 1, but um,
I have a
I
question,
mhm,
if I can,
yeah,
because I'm very interested. Is this the game that you modded the most out of all the Bethesda games,
I think I
or?
technically had more in Skyrim, but the way
Mm,
Skyrim
mm,
handles some mods, right, is like let's say you download a sword. There's probably three other people who made mods for that sword that give it a blue hilt or a green hilt, or you know what I mean? So
mm.
stuff like that. So you can technically have more mod numbers, but a lot of what the Fallout modders tend to do is what's called AIOs, all in ones. So you're not having so like, oh, Bill made this cool hilt, cool. I'm going to put it into my collection. So now you're going to download that collection. I think the reason it's a little handled a little bit differently than in Skyrim is because people don't want to see maybe like um a bandit running around with a flaming sword. right? Versus in Fall, I don't care if the guy's using an M16, you know, instead of a pipe rifle. It doesn't really take the same kind of immersion from me. So I think I technically had more in Skyrim, but I think as far as like doing more work, I think this is my new record as far as like big old overhauling type mods.
What do you think um, is the most attractive in Bethesda games when it comes to modding? Like, why are they modded so much?
Okay, so one, I know a lot of people talk a lot of shit about the creation engine. The creation
Mm.
engine handles mods in such a fucking cool way that if you fuck around with enough mods and you learn the console, you're almost not playing that game anymore. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, right? You can finish quests, you can move people, you can kill people, you can set stages of quests. You have so many powers. It's not just like a cheat code anymore. It's almost like you're kind of micro programming specific things. I think what makes Bethesda especially so attractive for mods, though, is that the style of role playing in Bethesda games, right, is a lot less you are the chosen one. Well, I mean, it kind of isn't in some of the Skyrims or some of the Elder Scrolls, right? But it's more, hey, you've got a whole world to go do stuff in. So if you want to show up in
Mm.
this area and be a badass who shoots everybody, sure. If you want to go to the next village over and you want to help everybody, sure. You're not as defined to like a role or a class or anything else like that, where the role playing actually comes from how your character takes on situations, and a lot more of that role playing is in your head. So if you imagine your
Right.
character as a badass former military special forces guy who uses, his bullets to do the talking, you go and download some mods that let you kind of like kid up as like an operator looking and you're getting some modern weapons. Or if you're like, you know what, this time I'm like a barbarian from the hills and I'm going to get like beast skins that cover me and a flaming axe and a laser sword. Yeah, you can do that. So I think that the modding supports the role playing, and
Mm.
I don't think it's like that in a lot of other games. Like, I don't think modding at Baldur's Gate, for example, adds much to the role playing because the role playing in that game is so tight, right? It's based on
Yeah.
your character and things like that. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a silly party hat or an army hat. My answers are still going to be kind of the same in those
Yeah.
scenarios, right?
I mean,
But
that is interesting because Baldur's Gate has these custom campaigns.
mhm,
People have made it, but I do think that there's something about the Bethesda games, and
yeah,
that is as someone that has spent a lot of 2025 playing a very moderate Morrowind with all of
mhm,
these expansions that are doubling the size of the map, basically so much created content over like 20 years. People have been making mods for Morrowind for 20 years that expand this huge landmass.
yeah. And if you go to
Um,
Nexus Mods, you'll notice the disparity in number of mods almost immediately, right? If
yeah,
you just go and
yeah.
like say, "Hey, give me a list of all games," like Skyrim has 10.7 billion mod downloads from
Yeah.
Nexus. Fallout 4 has
I mean, it
2.2
helped that
billion. That's
it was a huge game, but I think
mhm,
the tools for modding and how they are implemented and how they are easy to access
yeah,
and it is that open world that is it puts you in a fantasy world that's an open world and doesn't put you into a box
yeah,
that
yeah,
facilitates that. I think that's
yeah.
why
I
the
agree.
game became so popular.
And you can change it on the fly, right? So like I found a cool bunker. It's got kind of like a military theme. Like, okay, cool. My character's gonna be kind of military themed. Then I go
Yeah.
to another area and I found like, oh wow, I'm living on a ship. Okay, I'm gonna get like a pirate thing going on.
Hmm.
And it doesn't feel silly because you're using the visuals and the mods
Yeah.
to support your idea of what
I
you want to, role
I
play
also
as.
think that people underestimate accessibility of modifying
Oh
games
yeah, yeah,
because I do think that games have been so long. There's a longevity to them because of the how easy it was to mod
yep.
them. Like there is something to that.
And even when you're doing like something like there's so many modders. One of the things, like, when people are like, "Oh, Starfield is dead," is because it didn't have as many mods out the gate, right? It's
Yeah.
catching up, but, like, Starfield now
It also
and
didn't
Starfield.
capture the magic a little bit. It
Yeah,
was a little
yeah,
bit, I think, barren in some ways, and people didn't weren't motivated even
yeah, to make the
um
mods.
to make the
Yeah,
mods.
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
think with Starfield especially, I think that's kind of a product of the game being two things at once.
mhm,
And the thing that it does better, which is non-traditional Bethesda stuff, is stuff that lends itself less well to modding. And all the more
Yep.
like survivally open world stuff is stuff that Starfield does less well, and that's the stuff that lends itself well to modding. But it's not really what the core of that game
Which
is.
I think it gets into the modding section in a way, in that what you're seeing now with Starfield is less individual mods and more like total conversions, right?
Yep.
Turn Starfield
Yep.
into Star Wars, turn
Yeah,
Starfield
exactly.
into
Yeah.
Halo. I mean, like, you're seeing a lot more big total conversions, I think, than
People
what we
don't like
saw
the
early
original
on.
game.
Yeah.
People just don't like the
So
original game.
they're like, ah, shit, I'll
It,
play Star Wars here. Yeah.
when you look at Starfield, it is a stark comparison to previous Bethesda games, and maybe it is because they don't have a world that's so lived in, and doesn't it's not working on sequels that they can base their world on. But every Bethesda game has a city that's a diorama, basically. Just like it pretends to be a city always. Like those are the games. But in Starfield,
like,
it really
Starfield has that
does
too. It has
feel
Jameson, right?
yeah, but even it's way worse. In Starfield, you can feel it, the fakeness of it, so much more intensely. That's I think
I don't know if I
that's a
agree
problem
with
with
that because I
Starfield.
feel the fakeness very intensely when I play Elder Scrolls, but
I didn't. It's compact. Like the cities are compact, but there is a thing where in Elder Scrolls you can. There's like 50 houses in one of the biggest cities in the world, right?
I
So
actually
that's
haven't played
silly.
Skyrim. I'm comparing it to Oblivion, but
Right. Yeah,
that's
but
probably the
either
wrong
way, either
comparison to
way.
make because
Yeah. But
Oblivion
either way.
it's not a great
But
game.
every one of those houses you can get into, right? And in
Yeah.
Starfield you have these huge skyscrapers, and they're just for show. And I think that's one of the issues in Starfield, that they made a lot of these nicely looking diorama things, but they are non-interactable. Whereas in Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout, all of these little things you can get into. To like, well, in Fallout 4, the Boston area has, let's say, less of that stuff because it still has these huge buildings that are not accessible that much. But it's kind of like, oh, it's a ruined world. There
It's
wouldn't be
really
anything in
difficult
there.
to put myself in that mindset because I never felt compelled to want to go into those things because I just
Oh,
see it as
really?
any other video game
I
where I'm
I
like,
I find it one of the, like, it's not necessarily that it is. Uh, I have an imperative to explore everything, right?
Yeah.
But my brain notices that it is a living mechanism, like people get into buildings and get out of buildings, and it's not that I necessarily have to explore every house, but my brain kind of, it's easier to immerse myself in the world.
Yeah.
That's how
And
I feel about it.
it's also cool, like, for example, when you see like the mod community almost have like a same thought as you. Like, for example, when I played Starfield, do you remember the gothy girl who hangs out at the gal bank? She's like trying to look for a job, but she's kind of down and like, do you know who I'm talking about? I don't know if you guys haven't played Starfield. Anyway,
you're
but
asking
like,
me to remember a character in Starfield. That's
yeah.
pretty tall order.
But so here's the thing. I was like, oh, that's a really cool character. I wonder if you can romance her. Turns out like the entire internet had the same idea. And there's like all kinds of like romanceable mods, make her a player, make her a companion, do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny when you like kind of what you were saying though, is like you go to a house, you're like, man, that's a really cool house. I wish I could go in there. Give it a couple months and someone else said that thought, and now all of a sudden you've got, okay, well, hey, this is actually the gunner's headquarters, and you go in there with a
Yeah.
mod and you do all kinds of stuff. So
It's
Yeah,
her
the
name was
holy grail of
Maria, by the way. I looked
it's the
her up.
holy grail of it's one of the holy grails in a way of game design or of the video game experience, really, isn't it? Because I remember the old Judge Dredd game from I don't know, 2006 or something, the like the Rebellion Software one.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
like in
yeah.
previews, they were promising that every skyscraper in Mega City One that you looked up at, you could go and walk into
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
skyscrapers, and and like I think even kind of is it's I guess it's not No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky kind of did fulfill the promise, but to a very
Eventually. Yeah.
shallow degree. But you still see like like RPGs, fancy RPGs saying if you look up at that mountain, you know that you can, like in our game, you will be able to go and climb that mountain.
Yeah.
Like it's at least a thing that gets promised a lot, so it seems to be like a desirable thing. And I think I saw some some discourse around the around PlayStation 5 and maybe PlayStation 6 getting held back, and all the RAM concerns, because obviously like AI dickheads are
Yeah.
kind of
Same issue
soaking up
with
all the
Steam
RAM,
Machine.
so now there's a shortage. So like people are like, we may just like Sony may just stick with PS5 for another couple of years, but it's one of those things that people think maybe that's good. Maybe if you just learn to kind of if you stick at the same hardware level, and instead what you do is invest in deeper game. And I know this is like a very naive. This is probably
Yeah, they will just push it until there's 20 FPS on the screen.
But you see a lot of gamers saying, "Good. I hope that I don't need like slightly shinier graphics. What I would like them to put in, what I would like them to put more effort into is more kind of depth of writing and possibility space. And yes, you can go to all those skyscrapers and there'll be something interesting in each one because you spent all your money on writers instead of like learning another new kind of infrastructure and learning how to make your kind of, what's the word, not HDR, but what's the the refracting light stuff.
Yeah,
ray
tessellation or
ray tracing.
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing, exactly. Yeah, the thing that makes every game look shit. Ray tracing. Instead of like
Trust effects, though, right?
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember when that first launched.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
It was in the Tomb Raider 2013 was the showcase. And do you remember those old Windows 95 screensavers with the different colored lines and those patterns? It was like a brown version of that sticking off the back of Lara's head.
Yeah, I remember it tanked the frame rate in Witcher.
That still gets me excited as a player and as a designer, is the thought of just being able to find yourself going off in a different direction and finding like a whole new world of,
But not every game has to
like
do that, but it's it's fun when a game specializes in that.
It's a feeling though in Bethesda games that you can't get many other games where you're just like, I'm gonna go drive west or walk west, and whatever I find, I'm gonna just go do, right? I think Cyberpunk promised some of that, but then Cyberpunk to me, and people say this about Bethesda games, Cyberpunk feels like the most empty game world I've ever played. I mean, it is few and
it
far
is beautiful.
between. Yeah. But like,
it's empty.
if you try to go to a door, 9 times out of 10, that thing ain't opening.
Yeah, it's a 100% diorama more than anything.
It's a pretty background, but it doesn't feel alive. Like, when you're playing Skyrim, you're like, shit, I bet I can go in there. I bet I can walk to that. Like that's a real feeling. I know that was like Todd's big thing, right? See that mountain over there? You can walk to that. Like that is kind of fucking cool. I don't know what to say. I did find it kind of cool. Just
it's a very specific kind of game,
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have been chasing that with every iteration of their, and they have been making a very similar game after game after game, And I think that they wanted to recapture a little bit of that with Starfield. As I said, I think that they just kind of got lost in the sauce somewhere there because it just doesn't have the magic.
Kind of exactly what my issue with Starfield is that they didn't it seems like they didn't realize that they were making a very different kind of game. And it ends up feeling like a BioWare RPG wearing a Bethesda skin suit, and I just wish they'd made a BioWare RPG out of it.
Yeah,
because the parts of it that are just like the main quest are really cool, and they have some really interesting level design and encounter design.
I think if they didn't go with the engine. If they didn't go with the engine and created something, because the engine, again, all the loading screens, all the different things, all the needless barren, planets explorable. I think if they scaled it down, created a fun story, planned it differently, but no, they knew that what people expected out of them was a big open world, and I think that really sunk the thing.
It's also that the people who work there are people who are used to working with Creation Engine, and it would be a significant investment to train them up on something like Unreal or CryEngine or what have you, right? So they work with the tools that they know how to use, and it just seems like whatever the end result was, maybe leverage those tools in ways that they shouldn't have been leveraged. Like, I don't know.
Was Starfield the one? Am I getting this right? Where it kind of felt like they'd seen No Man's Sky and they'd gone, we want
Yeah,
to, we want to
Yeah,
have that vibe,
I
but we
wish they
also want to
persisted
have.
with that
you're
impulse.
right.
Exactly.
yeah.
Because when they
like,
were selling the game, they also told like, "Oh, these planets, the huge planets, you can explore them." It was just like hearing the No Man's Sky promise again a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit.
And you kind of could, but
Except it was
kind of
really
couldn't,
empty because they
weirdly.
didn't do
Yeah.
cross-gen.
Yeah. Yeah. So their procedural generation was really rough. Like you would land and there would almost be like you would land and you're like in a defined area. And that's all you can do is be in that defined area. You couldn't like walk across the map. You had to
Yeah.
basically like take back off and land in a different place. Um, but I think where Starfield did nail it is, at least at that part, that story and that ending, God, it came together so good by the end. But so many people didn't get to it. It's just, I think it's maybe the best. I think I said this to Merv before. I don't know if other people got there, but it's maybe the best reason for a new game plus or the best new game plus feel ever in a game. Like the game ends, you want to start a new one immediately.
yeah.
Ben?
I would agree with that, and I think that's why I find it so disappointing that there is all this. It just seems like there's all this chaff that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And if they had like concentrated on the core of what that game does well, and I would argue very well and underrated, um, then maybe it would be remembered a little more fondly. But I think that would have caused a lot of backlash from Bethesda fans who are expecting a very specific kind of game that this really was never designed to deliver on. And all the bits that kind of are designed around that are the worst parts of the game. So I don't know.
Ben? Judge Dredd, Dread versus Death, available on GOG.com for $6. You can buy
Oh,
it and play
I've played it. I've played it. It is absolutely dreadful. I got it for
Dreadful, nice.
I got it when there was when Steam were doing gems. I don't know about you guys, but I've still got like 53 gems sitting in my inventory that are never going to get used. It's incredibly irritating. But back when they were doing gems, I can't remember how I earned enough gems to buy Judge Dredd, Dread versus Death
Nice.
to basically get it for free, and it still sucked. Despite having bought it for imaginary gems, it was still painfully bad. And
Looks
I was
rough.
like, I was going in hoping to find the good in it, like hoping to build,
Is it based on actual Dread thing or is it the Stallone thing?
I think it's like one of the comic like side stories. I think is what it
Okay.
was.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't.
I think it's. I don't think it's based on a story from the comics, like a specific plot line, but it's. I think it's just. I think it's about as well. It's less close than MCU gets to the Marvel comic storylines that it takes. Is my understanding of it.
So you don't recommend it?
They
I
just kind of went,
shouldn't buy it.
Judge Death is a character. Let's use that character and just come up with a new story for him, as far as I was aware. But
Okay.
I don't know if that's what
interesting.
you're asking, but it was dreadful anyways. It's really embarrassing considering that like Rebellion made it. Like Rebellion bought whoever it is that published. Well, they bought 2000 AD, I should say, and now they publish the magazine. They own the magazine, and like they seem to really care about it and really.
Oh, the Alien versus Predator
2000 AD
people
has not gone downhill. They've got all their license. They keep on making games of it, and like there's and all. They made Rogue Troop and all this stuff. But yeah, Judge Dredd just sucked. I don't know what happened with that game, but like they had lofty ambitions of being able to go into every skyscraper and go into every room, and it just was this really subpar FPS with a lot of Red Bull product
sponsorships.
placement.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was paid like the Red. I don't know if any of you have played it or seen the memes of it or anything, but like in cutscenes, Judge Dredd would be, kind of burning down the streets of Mega City 1 on his Justice bike or whatever it's called. And he would
Justice
be
bike.
drinking a can of Red Bull, punch it up, drop it, and it rolls into camera and just kind of lands right in front of camera. And it's like cutscenes are kind of directed around it, and then you're in the game and like there's just Red Bull crates everywhere and Red Bull adverts up on the walls, and it is just
Is it as bad as when you
so
drink the
out of
monster in Death Stranding?
It's probably worse. I haven't played this Stranding, but I suspect it's worse because it is just. I don't know if any of you have ever watched the Stone Silverman program, but there's an episode of that where Steve Agee and Brian Posehn, I don't know if I'm saying those names right, but like they play a couple, and just one episode, one of them says, I don't really like Dr. Pepper or something like that. And the other one is like, no, come on, try it. Try Dr. Pepper. He's like, I don't like it. It's like, have you ever tried it? No, I just don't think I'm going to like it. And he goes, fine. But you know what? I am going to try Dr. Pepper. And drinks it sarcastically, goes, that is delicious. I love it. Excuse me, can I get another 2 liters of Dr. Pepper? And throughout the episode, he starts like wearing Dr. Pepper merchandise and putting Dr. Pepper posters up on the wall and drives his boyfriend mad. And that's basically what the Judge Dredd game felt like.
The main thing I remember is the box. His face is like not shaped correctly. It almost looked like, I can't remember. It looks like a potato, right? Is that this one?
Like a Play-Doh.
Like a potato. Let me look this up. It's Dread versus Death, right?
Yeah, but it's mostly an FPS game.
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
No, like on the
Oh
cover
my
of
god! I see.
yeah,
it.
if you look at the cover of the game, his face is like it's like a worm.
Oh my god! What's happening?
Before I look, that kind honestly, I wouldn't like.
That is a chin.
That describes like
Yeah.
half of the. That kind of describes what Dread looks like in
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 the
a lot
game.
of the
That's
content.
pretty
So
accurate.
it's not
He
necessarily.
does look like a weird worm, man.
Like a worm, right? Like an earthworm Jim or something.
Would you love me if I were a worm?
Like a
Judge
finger
Dredd
with
edition.
a smiley face.
This looks like, speaking of Earthworm Jim, like this looks like what Doug Tennaple would post online with, this is what peak performance looks like.
This was what we had before everything went woke. Potato face.
This is what the liberals don't want to have.
That's pretty faithful to Judge Dredd. Like Judge Dredd, he's often drawn very kind of, like Marv from Sin City or Danny Trejo in real life or whatever. He like they draw him
gnarly face,
like kind of fairly monstrous at times. But what did we get onto Dread versus Death anyway? What were we talking about?
I have no idea. I'm looking at
love the
screenshots
game.
of this right now,
look
and
at
this
it
looks freaking incredible.
Yes,
For
exactly.
$8.79 Canadian, I think I might just like buy this and see what it's all
Dread versus Death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, do it. Let's do a live stream of it or something. But I promise you, it is not even so bad it's good. It is just bad. You will just
bad.
You're making me curious about it.
We don't allow me to do like commentary on video games anymore. Ever since an edition of something we used to do called Video Game Science. Where I made some very blasphemous jokes.
Wait, what do you mean blasphemous?
I think we were
let's
playing
just say our
Squash.
Christian listeners would have been offended.
Okay, right.
Very, very offended.
And it's mostly about how Judge Dredd would look like Jesus, I think is what he was saying at the time.
I was in a game called SWAT.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was I don't know why there was a SWAT operation happening in a convent, but
I think it was a cult something happening.
Oh, it was a cult.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why was Jesus there?
I don't know.
No, don't answer that question. It's going to get blasphemous. So that's what we've been playing. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Ben about Earth Must Die. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the Avocado Games cast. the premier podcast about Judge Dredd, apparently. So today,
We're-
as we mentioned in the intro, and as you've been hearing throughout the episode, we have one of the developers of Earth Must Die with us, Ben Ward, and we thought we'd take this opportunity to talk to Ben about the game a little bit. So, really quick background: Earth Must Die is a comedic slash satirical point and click adventure game with almost a sort of, I guess, Saturday morning cartoon kind of aesthetic, where you play as an evil ruler with a companion milk robot trying to do various things like secure his shepherdship, for lack of a better term, because he's known as the Grand Shepherd of the game, and then fight off an invasion of people from Earth, hence the title, Earth Must Die. So, Ben, this is a little bit different from some of the games you previously worked on. What kind of inspired Earth Must Die?
Yeah, so it's like you said, it is a point and click adventure, but it's as mentioned right at the top of the podcast, it is kind of it's almost getting into visual novel territory because it is mainly it's still direct control. You're still kind of walking a character around these kind of 2.5D rooms, but it is mostly dialogue driven. And I should just put a caveat up top that I co-designed and co-wrote it with Dan Marshall, who and Size 5 Games basically is Dan Marshall. It's a one-person company, and I just do freelance work for them. Even though I've worked on almost all of their games, to one extent or another. But yes, the caveat would be that sometimes I'm just going to say we or I or whatever, but because this always annoys Dan when we do podcasts together. But I'm like, I cannot be bothered to spend 10 seconds before every sentence trying to remember who came up with what. So let's just assume that Dan did at least 50% of the ideas and writing, and if not more. But anyway, yeah. But the thing that brought that to mind was that the thinking behind the slightly more visual novel kind of approach was Dan. Dan has a kid, and I don't. So Dan is feeling the burden of free time a lot more than I am, and so he really kind of wanted to move towards not wasting the player's time and streamlining the adventure game experience a little and kind of trying something new. So that was one kind of influence, and the other influence, I guess, was the encroaching fascism across the world that we kind of wanted to comment on a bit. So yes, I guess those were the two the two main factors.
It's interesting you mentioned fascism because, like, I'm not going to spoil exactly where the game goes, but so much of the game seems to be about exposing almost the inherent silliness of fascism
Yeah.
and how much of what underlies it is just goofy bullshit. Um, and I don't know if that's something that you were thinking about when you and Dan were like writing the game. Is that part of why you took a more satirical bent to that topic, or where exactly
Yeah,
was
I
your head
mean, I think it's kind of it's more in our wheelhouse to take that approach anyway, to take that comedic approach and take that satirical approach. Um, but yeah, I mean, without putting ourselves in the same kind of echelons as Charlie Chaplin, it's kind of goes back to it's the same kind of um instincts as kind of the great dictator, which is like these people are so ridiculous, and possibly rather than kind of take them at their own arguments and kind of play into their game, the best thing you can do is point out how ridiculous and silly and shallow and kind of clearly kind of driven by insecurities they are. So yeah, absolutely.
I do like that the Earthlings are the game really makes you believe, oh, you're going to invade Earth, and then the Earth comes in and they are even bigger. Well, bigger. Who knows? This is monarchy versus like fascist government, but it was very funny that that Earthlings are also the bad guys.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
we didn't want to let ourselves off the hook. But, yeah, it's kind of like the thing I possibly most enjoyed about Attack of the Clones was the title, because you assume, oh, you've heard Clone Wars, you know the Empire's coming, all this and that, so you assume that like the end battle is going to be them fighting against a load of clone troopers, and then Yoda rocks up with the clone troopers, and it's a really fun twist that they built into the title of the movie. I thought that was really clever, and
Yeah.
but also it's like it's a really good. Not that I think Attack of the Clones is the best movie in the world, but like that's a really smart political statement that Yoda, supposedly kind of infinitely smart and unreproachable. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. Yoda, he is just as culpable as Jar Jar Binks, and just as stupid and naive, and in kind of playing into the Emperor's plans of he's the one who brings the clone troopers into the situation. So yeah, so we were kind of going for a similar thing where you think like you hear Earth Must Die and you've maybe got like kind of some preconceptions, and then you think, oh, we're playing the fascist empire and we're gonna go and take over Earth or whatever, and then like no, Earth come along and kick your ass and show you just how just how kind of insignificant you are.
It's a good bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated that twist because I did not see it coming. Like I thought, okay, we're gonna go, like because the game has you, I think, searching for something called fabriconium, and it sounded like, okay, we're gonna go to Earth and go like blow up Earth to find fabriconium, and then no, Earth comes to you, and then you're kind of dealing with the consequences of having provoked the beast, as it were.
Yeah. And by the way, Fabriconium was my little homage to Unobtainium.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say that. I was like, that's why you've been playing Avatar. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I've actually found this later, but unobtainium has been a thing even before Avatar. It was just kind of like science
Oh yeah,
speed for like if this thing existed, what would it do? Kind of as like a solve for X, but for like Earth metal or
exactly.
something science. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a hypothetical term, and James Cameron was clearly having a little joke. But also, there also is an actual element whose name in Latin means unobtainable. So it's also an actual thing that scientists kind of decided to call something many moons ago. And scientists call things stupid stuff all the time. It's completely
It's true.
fine. It's
Yeah.
not, I not to drive the conversation away from Earth Must Die back to Avatar, but it's one of many silly little criticisms people have of the Avatar movies, like that, like oh, I can't remember all the characters' names, therefore the movie must be bad, and all this kind of silly stuff, and um um
But
oh,
like I don't
it's wrong.
believe that. People remember
Avatar is
Jake
wrong.
Sully and Neytiri, right?
Yeah,
I
they always say that all the time. I'm like, yeah, if I said
Um,
Jigsaw, you know who I'm talking about.
But it's like, yeah, but it's like, like Aliens. Like no one was coming out of Aliens remembering all the Marines' names, but like in 1986. But like, it didn't mean it wasn't an awesome movie. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to Earth Must Die. God, please, let's stop talking about Avatar for 1 second.
Hey,
so
look, I mean, maybe you guys do a tie-in game. That's all I'm saying. Reach out to James Cameron, say, hey,
I would
look,
love to.
hey, hey,
Avatar: The
tie-in
Point of
games
View.
work for Mike Bethel. Um, no, I will say it's like as far as funny names and things go, like scientists do it all the time. Like gamers know about the Sonic Hedgehog protein in cells, and like as far as unobtainium goes, there were elements that were temporarily named things like ununceptium and ununoctium, right? Sounds a lot like unobtainium. So it's those names are out there in science.
Well,
Um,
that's how that's where Fabriconium comes from anyway.
yeah. Well, I enjoyed the name. It does invoke like, okay, we're gonna build stuff out of this. Um, so it's interesting you also mention that Dan wanted to kind of streamline things a bit because this also seems like a much bigger scoped game than previous efforts. Like I'm thinking Ben There, Dan That, and Time Gentlemen Please are like these much smaller scale point and clicks. And then Lair of the Clockwork God is bigger, but also has all that platforming. This seems like kind of the biggest thing in that lineage. Was that kind of a conscious decision to say like, okay, we're going to make something bigger scoped, or how? Where does that come from exactly?
Well, I mean, I don't like if you're talking about playtime, like hours, like in hours. It's probably not the biggest game. It's
Oh yeah,
probably kind of on a par with Time Gentlemen Please and shorter than Lair of Clockwork God. But production value wise, it's obviously a lot higher. Like we've got voice actors, we've got proper HD art. We've got cutscenes and all this kind of thing. Yeah, and I think that was. I mean, it's something we've always wanted to do, but it's just been finding the budget and what Dan went out and again. I was, I'm not a Size 5 Games employee or CEO or silent investor or anything like that. So none of this stuff was up to me. But we've always wanted to make the best looking games we can with the budget we have. And so for this one, Dan decided to go and find a. He's always he's kind of. I like to think of Dan as the British Tim Schafer, which is really kind of
Oh,
which
that's
is
pretty high praise. I like that.
exactly it's very high praise, but Tim Schafer is always kind of looking out for different modes of publishing and funding and stuff like that, and Dan's doing the same thing of he's kind of looking into he's always looking into like self-publishing, getting a different but like actually going with a publisher, kind of maybe thinking about early access, all this kind of stuff, and just kind of finding whatever works for the games while keeping the lights on. And for this one, we were lucky enough to kind of get a publisher and get funding and stuff so that we could and we got some government funding. I think it's UK Game Fund. I think it's called UK Games Fund. And so so we could just afford um, to have some artists on staff, which immediately makes and pay for voice acting. We had to be incredibly clever about how we did everything. And again, I'm saying we, and it was mostly Dan. But, we had to be very clever about how we got people in on contracts at the right time so that not a second was wasted of the artist's time and the voice actor's time. And we would get the one of the things that stood out about the game was like it had a massive list of respected British comedy talent, and the way we did that was we got them all in for like an hour each. So we could we kind of pay them all a few £100, get them in for an hour or so, get like a couple of characters out of them, and get a massive long cast list without breaking the bank.
Did you fry up the quid, or like did they just take it raw?
Was that a quid squid joke?
Ah, damn it!
yeah.
I someone this is a And this is probably a very
I
rubbish.
thought it was a Joel Fry joke. That's what I thought you were going for.
Well, I was going with squid,
that
but
would have been good.
maybe
Yeah.
it is. I don't know.
Jawfly squid. I was in a pub once, and I was ordering a drink, and for some reason the phrase 6 squid came up, and another barman came over and said, "Sorry, we don't serve fish." And I was nonplussed, and I was like,
Yeah.
What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, it's a joke about squid," and I felt like I surely came across as a complete dickhead, but I said, "Oh right, sorry, I didn't understand that because squid aren't fish; they're cephalopods." So I just didn't even. Really took the wind out of that guy's sails. But anyway,
No, it's. I'll tell you a story I got. So I went to Canada, and Merv probably gets this, but I knew about a loony, but I didn't know what a fucking toonie was. And so I'm at the bar.
I just learned this. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm at a bar and the guy's giving me change, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Here's $2. I was tipping that guy like $6 a drink. I feel like the biggest idiot. My Canadian friend was like, dude, those are $2. I was like, no. And I went and looked at this. Yeah, it's like a $2 coin. I was like, why would you have this? It makes no sense. But that bartender, man, he must have been like, this dumb American, man. I'm gonna go buy a car with this guy.
Back in the day, I used to like America and Canada used to have like nowadays everything's electronic, but like you go back 15, 20 years, it was customary to just like pay for meals completely in change. Like you would just hand a
Jeez.
cashier a bunch of toonies and loonies and be like, yeah, cool. Um, and then
What's
like
the
I
point
moved to this.
Go ahead.
Or go ahead.
Of all the things you can make a coin for, right? Why not like a $5 coin instead of a two? Just seems crazy to me.
It makes life easier. You don't have to carry a whole bunch of loonies around. You carry a smaller number of toonies.
Okay.
I mean, I don't carry any coins.
Yeah,
With me
now nobody
anymore
here. They
because I just like everything goes on the credit card and I pay it off immediately.
I always have. I always make sure to have a few pound coins for the pool table at the pub. That's the only reason I have coins in my wallet now.
Yeah,
There you
there you
go.
go. It's like it's only for like things that don't take cards now. That's where
Yeah, it's
you're
shopping
like,
trolleys and pool tables. That's it.
yeah.
we got a $2 bill, but I don't know if we've ever had a $2 coin. It'd be an interesting like study one day to figure out like why some societies like went better with coins than others. They tried to reintroduce a dollar coin here, and it was like a horrendous flop. People were saving them like they were worth more than $1. The government keeping like, no, it's only $1. Go spend it, please. And then they kind of never did. Never caught on.
I did end up with a few dollar coins when I was living in the States.
The Sacagaweas or the older ones?
I actually don't know because I think I ended up spending them because I treated them like actual currency instead
That's
of
what you were
like
supposed to
collector's
do.
items.
They begged us to do that. And they were like, no way, I'm going to hoard these.
Yeah, that's not how currency works, people. Like, currency is just worth whatever it says it's worth.
There's people now who are saving pennies because they're not going to stop making pennies. Like, oh, these pennies will be worth something. They're like, they're going to be worth a cent probably for the next 100 years. But
Legal
anyway,
tenders
yeah.
are worth a cent. In terms of the metal in them, slightly more than a cent. Because the zinc and
Yeah,
copper that go into a penny are
I
a
think that's why
little
they
bit more
stopped
expensive.
making them. But anyway, that
That's
was
why,
my
yeah.
quick joke and derail. Feel free.
But yeah, it's interesting that you were able to get all this voice talent because like you look at the credits and like, oh, Tamsin Greig, Ben Starr, these are people I've heard of. And it always seems a little strange, like, oh, this is a smaller indie project. How did they get their voice talent? And it is like this judicious use of funds and resources. So like speaking of use of funds and resources, what exactly is the process of getting this game from like conception to release, especially when you're working with a smaller team? Like you don't have producers handling everything, like making sure the project is on rails. So how exactly does that work?
Basically, Dan is the producer, and
Okay.
he is. I mean, he was certainly the project lead on this one. On the previous, like on the Dan and Ben games, he was the de facto project lead because he was also the coder. So he got to make the final decision on everything. He had final veto, just by virtue of being the guy typing the stuff into the engine. And so I would, like, if I thought he had come down on the wrong side of a decision, all I could do was just keep on coming back with arguments of like, "Are you sure? Because I think it'd be cooler if we did this." But yeah, on this one, he was the producer and the project lead, and apart from that, it was just me, kind of co-designing, co-writing. We had 3 artists, a music guy and a sound guy, and that was it. The publishers, who are No More Robots, who are pretty well known, were very hands off. They were great, very kind of like very supportive and everything. But they knew that basically Dan brought the project to them when it was already. It was basically all kind of coded up with. No, was it coded up? I was going to say it was all kind of hooked up with programmer art, but maybe I think it was. Yeah. We designed it all. We'd hooked it all up like Dan. So basically, to go back to the original question, like you start off Dan and me in a pub with a notepad, coming up with ideas, and then we just keep on fleshing them out and out and out until we've got the structure. And then Dan starts hooking it all up in Unity, using the Adventure Creator plugin as kind of backup to kind of do the easy stuff, and then he'll kind of like add complicated stuff on top of it. And so he'll be making the game with programmer art, which is just he's got a red rectangle walking around some grey, kind of background, like. So it's like the background art will just be a flat grey with some black lines to go, there's a wall here, there's a door here. And so he gets the whole thing working. So he's like, the dialogue's not in yet, but the puzzle's all in. And then he can play through the game and go, this feels like it needs a bit more here. Let's come up with another puzzle or two here. And then once we're happy with that structure, we do all the writing. And around the same time as the dialogue on this one, at least, we kind of started to bring the artists in, so that the dialogue and the art would all kind of would be playing with each other and not contradicting each other and stuff like that. And then you just stick the dialogue in, you stick the art in, you stick the music in, and you kind of start polishing it up, and you come up with kind of little fun ideas that kind of suggest themselves. You kind of maybe put some extra little puzzle layers in and whatever, and then you play test it as much as you possibly can with such a tiny budget. And like the publishers had their QA department, but that's kind of fairly small. And apart from that, it was just me and Dan playing it over and over and over and over and over again, and making massive spreadsheets of bugs and fixing as many as we can before Dan runs out of time and money, and we have to put it on Steam, and then you have your game.
Yeah, so it does seem like it is a very iterative process, but there's also kind of like steps along the way. Like you're starting with the gray boxing and then kind of moving from there. So you mentioned like with puzzle design where you're kind of like writing ideas on a notepad of the pub and then taking them and like implementing them in more of like a gray box type environment in Unity. What exactly is kind of like your process of puzzle design? Do you think about like how do you get from okay, I want to put an obstacle here to here is the puzzle that is going to be in the game?
So I guess what we do is it's kind of like I did a screenwriting course at uni, just like a very basic 101 intro to screenwriting. This is I've got to pick some modules, and this one seems interesting, so let's do that. And kind of reading the usual kind of books like Sid Field and whatever, and one of the exercises I found most useful that I learned from there was come up with your idea and kind of write it down like a 3-point idea or whatever, and then just start asking questions. So it's like, a guy protects Earth from alien invaders. So you go, okay, who's this guy? Why are the aliens invading? What do the aliens look like? How does he protect the Earth from and you answer those, and then those raise more questions, and you answer those questions, and you keep on going until you've filled out, and until you've written your screenplay, basically. And it's kind of the same with puzzle design in that we've got a story, and we go, okay, so what's the next story beat? He's he's got to look for planets to scan. Like that's for Fabriconium. That's the plan. So what would be a funny, interesting obstacle against him to scan planets that also tells a story at the same time? And so you go, okay, let's do a satire of bureaucracy where all he's got to do is push a button and he just can't get this button pushed because of all the different people. Like, it turns out that this fascist dictator actually has no power, and he's got to go and ask 100 different people to let him push a button. So what are the people who he has to go and ask then? Okay, let's see what would be funny, interesting, satirically valuable people for him to go and ask. Elon Musk, propaganda department, this, that, and the other. And then you go, all right, so you're going to go and meet Elon, like an Elon Musk equivalent. Where does he live? Like, what's the funniest thing that can happen? And like a lot of it comes down to, do we laugh? Like when we're coming up with ideas, and one of us comes up with an idea, does it make the other person laugh? Because if it does, it's going in. And then once you've got that basic idea of it's not this, but and this is not in the game. I'm just making this up now, but you have to trick Elon into dressing up like a clown on national television or whatever. So you go like, great, that's the funny idea. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of LucasArts. We've played the LucasArts adventure games a million times. We know exactly what the deal is here. He's got to look like a clown. He needs 3 things. He needs a red nose. He needs he needs big shoes. He needs whatever. He needs a unicycle. Okay, so where could we get a red nose from that makes sense with this? Like, we're meeting him at his Playboy mansion. Where would you get a red nose from in a Playboy mansion? I currently cannot come up with an idea, but like, let's say it's a it's a cherry on top of a fancy sundae, but that's
Okay, so it's like, he has to break into a freezer and steal a cherry or something like that.
and then you go, okay, well, you need to break
I
into a
love
freezer, but but you can't just say we need a key for a freezer. That's incredibly boring. So let's come up with an interesting way. What's an
Like, it's
interesting?
frozen shut, so now let's, I don't know, find a flamethrower that can open the freezer.
Exactly, or you kind
these
of
are
do something,
basically
or you go like, actually, it needs to be more frozen. Actually, so like, you have to kind of turn that, etc., etc., and you just kind of keep on nailing down, and you just kind of keep on going. What's interesting? What's funny? What hasn't been done before? What feels satisfying to the player, and then you do that a million times, and you've got a game.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that style of puzzle. Like, kind of it looks like this is simple, but you're 15 layers into figuring out what you thought was going to be a simple puzzle. I love that. I always think it's funny. It's one of my favorite things to do in a puzzle game. I guess it's kind of I guess maybe like Monkey Island-ish, right? Where it's like, oh,
Yeah,
this should be easy, and then like
It
you're looking for
spirals
the
out.
Q-tip to stick in the giant monkey's ear. 10 minutes later, you're like, oh wow, they got me pretty good on this one.
yeah. I mean, Tim Schafer is the master of that stuff, but like Monkey Island 2, the middle section of Monkey Island 2, where you've got to find the 4 map pieces, is just an absolute masterclass of that stuff. because they go like, okay, you've got to find a map. Okay, the map's broken into 4 pieces. Okay, so you've got to go and find out where, like, each one of these 4 pieces got given to a different crew member. So you've now got to go and find out the story of each crew member and work out where they might have left their map piece, and then that splits out into little bits, and that splits out into little bits, and it's just, and so you've got like 20 different puzzle strands juggled at once, but you're kind of somehow keeping it all in your head. And sometimes the game will kind of go, you know what, we're just going to have you got this map piece, but before you can pick it up, a seagull steals it, and now you're just going to spend 5 minutes chasing a seagull around an island. And it's just wonderful. And that's kind of that vibe is what we aspire to, is that kind of, yeah, is having a bunch of different stuff juggled at the same time, and just like a very pleasing structure. Like, you don't want too much, you don't want too little. We do talk about the stinking feeling you get when you're playing an adventure game where you they've been holding your hand for a little bit, but then they go, right, here's an island, and there's like 3 villages, and every village has 5 huts in it, and you have to go to each one and learn. It's like, right, I'm going to be spending the next hour going around finding out what
Because
all these different pieces are and how they how they might interact. So
yeah, and there's such a fine line between, like, I think the goal of most puzzle games is make the player feel smart for figuring it out, right?
yeah,
But like, it can get frustrating when you're like, I know this is how it's done, but I can't make it happen. And you start to get into that like frustration zone rather than the like everything's like firing on all cylinders. So sometimes that difficulty can be, I know that's got to be really hard to figure out. Like, are we making this too hard, too easy? And then is the reward, the payoff for all of that struggle like commensurate, I guess.
yeah. I mean, this is a real strength of uh, mine and Dan's, actually, as a creative team, because he leans towards. I lean towards keeping all the jagged edges in and making things like making the player kind of work harder, and having and like kind of and make a lot more logical leaps. And Dan leans towards, I don't want the player to ever get stuck, because then they'll give up on the game, and they just won't play the game, or they'll just go to the internet and find a walkthrough, and then nobody's having fun. So like, we kind of find a pretty good balance in the middle. But the I don't want to say compromise, but the the useful tool that we find a lot is having a companion that you can ask, and also
Oh,
the
that's
exact,
smart.
like, and also
Yeah.
examining things. And again, Tim Schafer, Dead Tentacle, you had, like, they would have, the do you guys know the phrase like rubber ducking when you're a programmer? And this can be applied to any walk of life, really. But when you're a programmer, you find that if you call someone over and ask them for help with a programming issue you're having, you find that by the time you've explained to them what the problem is, you've actually kind of realized what the solution is as well, and they didn't need to be there, and you can
Yeah.
go away again. And
That's
so
cool.
actually, you may as well just have a rubber duck on your desk and just, rather than call someone over, just explain it to your rubber duck.
Oh,
Um,
I thought that was a reference to the rubber duck puzzle from The Longest Journey.
or
uh,
maybe I haven't. Have I played the Longest Journey? No, I played Siberia, and I thought I was getting Longest Journey, and I got Siberia, and I was very pissed off when I realised
that's
the
when the games get to go
mistake I
wrong.
made. But yeah, so that's called rubber ducking, and yeah, and so in Day of the Tentacle, they put a couple of they have this mummy character who is in all the different timelines, and the player character can go and talk to this mummy and ask them questions, and the mummy is just, it's not supernatural, it's just a dead mummified corpse, and so it never talks back to them. But so the player character will just be going like, oh, I've got to find a diamond. Where can I find a diamond? Maybe could I dig it up from the ground, or could I buy one, or could I? And it just kind of gives the player a little nudge, and it's almost as if they're simulating having someone there who has already played the game, and is just kind of sitting next to you going, have you thought about it in this way? And so that's what we always try and do, is we try and simulate someone who's played the game but doesn't want to spoil it for you, and is just going like, what you're trying to do, what's your obstacle? And like, because this is what we've trained our fan base, such as it is on our Discord server. There's probably only about like 20 active members, but whenever a new game comes out, we always give them a little pep talk of like, look, we're probably going to have a few people coming in asking for help with a puzzle. So what ideally we would like you to do is ask them what the obstacle is, ask them if they've thought about possible solutions and what they've tried and why it didn't work, and kind of almost get them hard, get like kind of be like rubber duck them, like be their rubber duck, and then kind of if they're thinking about it in the wrong way, go, have you considered that actually that this person can move around, or or whatever, and like kind of just give them little nudges. But ideally that would never have to happen because we already have stuff in the game doing that, and that's if you look at any item or you talk to a character and ask them, if you talk to the Dan character or you talk to the Milky character, they will be going like, they will be doing the exact same thing. And so that's kind of our get around for, did we make this too difficult? Just to be safe, like the player still has to bother, and you'd be surprised at the amount of players who don't bother, but the player still has to kind of bother with the action of examining things and talking to people, and then they kind of get massive hints, and so we've kind of covered ourselves. And again, to my taste, sometimes we give them too many hints, and sometimes it's a bit too obvious. But you always get half the reviews saying that they'll always, that like no one can ever say this is a bugbear of mine. You generally don't get FPS reviews where they go, oh, the balancing on this is brilliant. Oh, it's like the weapons, the enemies and stuff. There were like 2 or 3 rooms where the balancing was a little off. They could have done with fewer enemies, but the other 96, the other 150 rooms were spot on. They don't bother. But with adventure games, they will always say, it's almost like they feel obliged to say, there were a couple of puzzles that were a bit too easy, or there were a couple of puzzles that were a bit too hard, but on the whole, it's really well balanced. And so, like every review will say that, but you never know whether they're going to say they were too easy or they were too hard. So, like, I guess we pitched it pretty well, because you get you get it from both sides.
Did you see any like reviews that were like somebody just totally didn't understand like a puzzle or something like that, where you were frustrated and like, well, that's because you did it wrong or something like that?
The problem, I mean, the problem is that people don't go into those details. They
Oh, okay.
just
So they just say there was a puzzle I didn't get, and so like you
Oh,
can't really
yeah.
tell if it was user error or like, oh yeah, actually we kind of could have maybe explained that better. So you don't really kind of get that feedback, I guess.
Yeah, I would really like to go like on Steam reviews or magazine reviews or whatever. Whenever they go, there was a bit of moon logic here or there, and there was this one that was a bit. I'd really love to kind of go to them. What did you think was unclear here? Like, was this our fault, or did you just not really? Because it's like, or you think, you would think that people would go, well, you know what? If I found like 48 out of 50 of the puzzles in this game perfectly fair and well signposted, maybe the other 2 were my fault and not the game's fault. Like, why am
Yeah.
I assuming that it was the game that got those 2 wrong and not me? But maybe we did. Who knows? But yeah, so like, they generally just, like I say, it feels like it's obligatory for anyone ever discussing an adventure game to say moon logic. So
Yeah.
you'll always get someone saying there was some moon logic here or there, but overall, but like, yeah, no, they never give you specifics, so you can never kind of go in the comments and say, well, I wrote this game, and actually, I think you'll find that if you look at the plant on the third plant from the left,
You know what I was thinking about though, is that one guy who was playing that tutorial game, the remember that the
The
tutorial
Cuphead
platformer.
tutorial.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just imagine the guy who did that tutorial was like just like seeing that, just like tearing his hair out, and be like, "Come on, man." Yeah.
So it goes. I have a question. Speaking of Steam,
Yes.
uh, who did you get approached by Steam, and did they request a video of the alien orgy so that they had to classify it? What was the story with that?
Yeah, that's a good one. Because I see it in like on the Steam page, like halfway down. It's like the developer describes the mature content as there's an alien orgy.
Yeah, that got us a nice little kind of mini bump of publicity after the patch, which was quite good. But so as I that so there is an alien orgy in the game, but it's just like this writhing mass of weird alien appendages, and it's nothing that you could really identify as sex, because it's just a load of aliens just kind of like wobbling around in the same general area. But to be safe, you kind of have to label this stuff, and you kind of have to say, you know, so that someone doesn't kind of, so that responsible parents don't let their 8-year-old play it and then get upset because they didn't realize that there was going to be a silly kind of cartoon orgy in it. So you kind of have to put this thing in there. But our publisher, Mike Rose at No More Robots, he posted on Blue Sky about how I think he was kind of being a bit jokey about it or whatever, but he said like, "Oh, Steam put up some roadblocks because they were like, we see that you've mentioned that there's an orgy in this game. Could we see what this is, please?" And so he just recorded. He had to make a 5-second recording of it and go, "Look, it's just a cartoon. It's a load of it's a load of blobs and a couple of legs sticking up in the air, kind of just, and that's it." And they were like, "Oh, okay, fine." But he did a funny Blue Sky post about it to get some engagement, and one outlet kind of, obviously these journalists now are obliged to write 50 posts a day or whatever
Yeah.
ridiculous demands are being put upon them by their corporate overlords. So so you see something like that, obviously they go, "Funny story, I can write this in 5 minutes, bam, that's 1 out of 20 done for today." And so they kind of turned it into a little story. And then obviously all the other outlets, they're also looking to fill their quota, and they go, "Great, I can report on that." And I can say, PC Gamer said today that No More Robots said that Sci-Fi Games had some trouble with Sky, and and they report it as if it's an interview. That's the fact. They say Mike Rose told
Some guy on Twitter
PC
said.
Gamer that. It's like he didn't tell them anything. He just posted it on Blue Sky, and they quoted him. It's like a 20-second. It was 20-word post, and it's kind of getting reported as an interview. And then people were making TikTok videos about it, saying "game almost banned on Steam for orgy." Capital letters. It's like, that's not what happened. But
Catchy though.
yeah, but this
Like-
you do have to list all this stuff out. Like
Yeah, you don't
we
get
have a-
rated by any kind of ESRB or anything, yeah?
Like Peggy's
I
weighing in,
don't
right?
think we were. No, I don't think we got a rating. I can't remember. I guess we just don't. You don't have to if you don't want to, and they don't care about small game. They can't do every game ever.
Yeah.
So if you're not if you're not like making Diablo 3 or whatever, you kind of don't have to care about whether you get an ASRB rating or not. We did have to do one. I think it was because it was either when we went to for Land the Clockwork God. It was either because we were going to Nintendo, or it was because we were doing a physical edition, and those have to get rated by the BBFC or something like that, or it might be an ESRB. I can't remember. And so we did have to list out like everything that was possibly rude about led Clockwork Orange is like, well, we mention alcohol and there's a Hitler clone in it at one point, and this, that, and here's an 8-hour video of the playthrough, and here are all the time codes and stuff like that. And probably no one actually read the bloody thing, but you do have to jump through those hoops, and it's kind of the same thing with Steam. It's like Steam have to show that they're doing the due diligence, even if no one ever looks at it. So all the forms have to get filled out, I guess.
Does Steam take care of them like rating the game for everywhere? Like Australia and Germany, all the other weird places. 'Cause, like I know with Hitler, like they're gonna have like a hang up in Germany, right? Or is that something like you have to get it separately rated for Germany, or is that something that Steam does?
I don't know. And again, I'm not sure that we even. I mean, what ratings are there on Steam? Like,
Well, like like on Steam, I see like ESRB, but I'm guessing you would see like PEGI, right? So like,
yeah, I mean,
is that
I don't think we have PEGI. Like, I don't think our game's got PEGI ratings. Like,
okay?
like I said,
Yeah,
unless they
there's
kind of
nothing
went.
for Earthquake on the Steam store
Well,
front, because like most like smaller indies don't have any ratings attached to them.
yeah,
On
I
I think
guess
Steam.
it
like
is mostly for physical, isn't it? Because
yeah, I think
if
that's the line. Yeah.
yeah.
And like you
Yeah.
just kind of basically with something like Time Gentlemen Please, where it's a time travel thing, and you're going back and fighting Hitler, and we made sure not to put any swastikas in, but you do have Hitler and you do have Nazi dinosaurs walking about the place, and you just kind of hope that you get away with it. And if Steam probably aren't going to. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how involved. I don't know I don't know whether it's Steam or whether it's Germany who would pick up a fuss about whether Steam would go, we can't sell this in Germany, so we're going to preemptively cut it off, or if we're paying attention, or if they just wait for Germany to go, hang on, this game's got Nazis in it, can you take it off our thing, please? And Steam go, yep. I think it's the latter, but I don't know. And as far as I'm aware, we've gone away with it for Time Gentlemen Please. Like, I think that's available worldwide. So
One more
Yeah.
Steam thing I've been curious about, just before we kind of get off that. Steam achievements. Is that something you have to run by them? Is that something you say, hey, here's the achievements? Because I know there's some games that are like, hey, here's 5 million achievement farms, or here's like Steam cards or stuff like that. Is that something they put in your, like, say, hey, you know, X amount of achievements or X amount of points or X amount of cards or anything like that? Or is that something you guys decide?
it's something that Dan doesn't care much about,
Okay.
or at least he does not have. It's way down on his list of priorities, and he's only got so much time and effort that he can spend on doing anything.
Sure,
And
yeah.
so I don't have much of an idea, but I think that's probably because like normally I would discuss that. I would just ask again. I would ask Dan down the pub out of curiosity. I'd be like, "What's the deal with this?" But like, I don't really know, and I think that's mainly because Dan doesn't prioritize that stuff.
Oh, that makes
Um,
sense. That makes sense because it also feeds into the fact that like you see some of that AI slop and it's got 500 achievements. You know what I mean? So if that's
yeah,
kind of is the goal of your game, I guess that's probably them doing it, not Steam.
yeah. I think it is. I mean, yeah. So basically, part of the reason Dan doesn't prioritize it is because if he did do it, he'd want to do it well, and to do it well would take a certain amount of time and effort and money. And so he's like, if I can't do it, it's more important to be bug hunting and to be moving on to and then to be starting on the next game so I can pay for the roof over my family's head. So I'm not going to prioritize achievements because it doesn't, like, as much as vocal minority kind of kick up a fuss if your game doesn't have them. No one really cares. Like the vast majority don't really care when it like it's not gonna get you any extra sales. We had like a couple of people come on the Steam forum and kick up a bit of a fuss about the fact that it didn't have cards or something, but like you know, those people obviously kind of live their lives
Yeah,
around
they're a
collecting
total
cards.
different type of human than most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, Steam will not ask you to do it. They will if you they you or what you will find out from the Steam backend how much you're allowed. So if you wanted to do achievements, you will go to the Steam backend and it will say your game is allowed 10 achievements and your game is allowed 0
Okay,
cards, and it's not
that's
popular
interesting.
or whatever. And you can do that if you want, as far as I'm aware. And then if you have an issue with it, you can maybe go and negotiate with them and say, oh, I really want 20 achievements. Look, we've got we've got a bunch of games on your platform and they've all got this amount of positive reviews. Can we please have some more slots? Possibly that might happen. And
That's interesting.
but like as Steam gets bigger and bigger, no one's going to read that anymore. Like
Yeah,
when back in 2008, when we managed to get Been There Done That on there, you could email them and you get an email back from a human, and they'd be like,
from Gabe.
"Yeah,
Yeah, when he's
your
bored.
game looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'll stick it on Steam." Yeah, I think we were the first adventure game on Steam, because Dan happened to catch someone on email and and say, "Look, it's got 3 good reviews. It's interesting. You know, can we pop it on there?" And some guy was like, "Yep." And so, yeah, but now it's like no chance. But
Okay, so
anyway, that's my understanding of.
yeah. Okay, this is interesting to me. So like, let's say there's like a bundle or like a discount. Is that Steam doing that? Is that the publisher doing that? Like, who's deciding? Like, because I see like I can get this with Foolish Mortals, for example, like as a bundle. Is that who's setting that up? Is that Steam? Is that hey, these are
That's
two
not
kind of
Steam. No, that's just not Steam. Like, and again, yeah, I think with achievements, it's not Steam. Steam lets you do it.
oh,
Steam is
okay,
handle it.
that's cool.
So bundles in the case of Earth Must Die, that was the publisher because
Okay,
Dan was like, "Hey, I've got a publisher. Like, one of the benefits of having a publisher is I don't have to worry about this shit anymore. Like, you can,
okay,
you can decide when it goes on sale. You can decide when it goes on bundles. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to touch the godforsaken Steam backend anymore. But it is absolutely the publisher making those decisions. And in previous cases, it would have been Dan kind of making those decisions. Like with the Swindle, for example, he made the decision that he was not going to put it on sale for a year. He was like, "No, I feel like at this point in time, games are getting devalued a bit by sales. I'm gonna be steadfast and not put it on sale for a year." And that was I don't know how successful that was. I think that probably kind of as far as I'm aware, it didn't hurt it. But anyway, but regardless, it was that was his decision. Steam don't have Steam don't worry about that. I mean, they've got like a million games. They can't worry
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
that stuff. So,
Okay, so it's
but yeah,
publisher.
there's no rules on that stuff.
Oh. I do find it interesting. Like I'm looking at the achievement list for this game, and it's
Yeah,
like,
same.
huh? I did like, I didn't think to even try that. And some of them are like, oh, I'm surprised that I thought to try that, and I ended up with the achievement for it. It seems like it's what's more like little fun tidbits that you can do by kind of messing around, and I think that's kind of the right approach to take for a game like this. Just little fun surprises. Sometimes you do something, and then oop, a little pop up in the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of. I hate in-game overlay. So it kind of annoys me that like
100%.
um we because Dan does put achievements in, so it must like it must be of some benefit to. I guess I think it's the cards that are the big effort, and the achievements are not too bad. It's like they're quite easy. You've still got to kind of like put it in your code and stuff like that. You've still you've actually got to like hard code it into the game and stuff. But like evidently it's not too much trouble. It's worth the effort on those. But like it does annoy me to think that some people are, and you see streamers do it. They've all got it turned on, and like I said, they're playing the game, and a joke happens, and then an achievement pops up, and it's like, we didn't write the joke with the achievement in mind, so it's like it's kind of adding this extra. This it's this little distraction that takes away from the presentation of the game. I remember first playing like Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and like achievements started coming up saying like you've smashed 50 antlion eggs. I was like, oh, this is horrible. Like, why are Valve allowing this on their own game? That they've spent so much time and money and effort and brain power on making this game the most visually lush, perfectly presented cinematic like experience, and then they're just having these little boxes pop up in front going, ding, you just ate 50 eggs. It's like, it's like when you watch American TV and like every 2 minutes there's one of these interrupters coming up with like everybody loves Raymond kind of animated things across the bottom. It's like, I'm trying, do you not care about the art that you're making? Obviously you don't. But anyway, it kind of drives me mad. But like, I on the good assumption that everybody has all the players have turned off the overlay, and the achievements are just this nice little surprise they get when they go back to Steam, or whatever. Like the ideal with achievements for me is encouraging optimum gameplay techniques from the player and saying, why don't you go
or
over
alternative
here, play it in this way? There's a little secret over here that you may not have spotted. But also what's annoying is when I get this so much, is when you're playing the narrative game and then you come out and you get an achievement, and it's an achievement about something you haven't done yet.
Oh my god,
Like,
the worst.
you got the Peter card. And no, it's not achievements, is it? It's cards. You get that. So thankfully, we don't do trading cards, so we don't have to worry about this. But if we did, I would be on Dan's ass about it, because it is so frustrating when you're playing a narrative game and it goes, and you come out and you get the trading card for, turncoat Peter the Third. You're like, I didn't know he was a turncoat.
Yeah. No,
I see.
It irritates me to no end to get a card for a character I haven't met yet. Like, I don't even know what this is worth. I don't even know who this person is.
I see a meta joke in the future about achievements.
I'm very spoiler averse, and I don't watch trailers. I don't read interviews before the fact. I don't go on AV Club or IO9 or anything like this, because you find out about 90% of the movie or the TV show before you've actually watched it. And it's and so it drives me mad when like the companies themselves kind of put this stuff out there, and you're watching a DVD and the menu kind of spoils a big twist, or
even a trailer. Trailer can spoil a bunch of a movie or a game.
I don't watch trailers.
The series that's worst about this is the Like a Dragon series. When you boot up the game, if you watch the intro movie, it just like spoils the entire plot of the game. So I advise anyone booting up a Like a Dragon game, just like hit enter or spacebar immediately and just skip that intro movie. Get right into playing the game. Otherwise, you'll have the entire plot spoiled for you.
Yeah, and you see, like, a lot of people will spoil stuff sometimes and like be a little inconsiderate, and you're going, "Hey, sorry, can you not please? Can like, that's a spoiler. Like, can you maybe tag that up? That's a shame. I didn't want to know that." And they go, "Oh, it's in the trailers." It's like, I know it's in the trailers, but the trailers spoil everything. That's why I don't watch trailers. Like,
separate problem, actually.
Kind of notorious for spoiling things. Like, I won't go in the there was a we're all on the Upguard, and there was a TV show that was getting weekly things, and when you when you go on the homepage, obviously you get the little thumbnail preview images, and one of them was kind of just 1 week it kind of spoiled a thing. I just went in and I said, so can you would you mind being a bit careful about like what images you post on these things, because you can see them from the front page? And people said, well, that has come from Apple TV. That's what you see on Apple TV on the UI. And I'm like, that's why I pirate it, because Apple TV are evidently Apple TV are spoiling their own show because the PR department don't give a shit. They just want to get as many people clicking on the thing, and
Yeah.
Marvel, Disney Plus, they took. I'm not going to spoil it, but Thunderbolt, the recent
Oh,
MCU film, and the title
Thunderbolts
was
asterisk.
yeah,
Thunderbolt.
that was kind of infamous.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
we're
title
getting
was
into
Thunderbolts asterisk, and everyone was like, "Why is it called Thunderbolts asterisk?" And they kept it really quiet all the way up until and I managed to not find out until I'd seen the movie, which was fantastic because it's a brilliant moment in the movie. It's an Attack of the Clones style um kind of use of a title to kind of emphasize a moment in the movie. It's really bloody clever. And then as soon as it goes on Disney Plus, they've thought people will get confused about that. Let's just put the answer on the thumbnail, and it's like, oh, you just ruined this for hundreds of thousands of people who have been waiting. Why would you do that anyway? So that's why
Yeah.
I don't like trading cards on Steam.
No, I
Oh,
get it.
I
There's
appreciate the
definitely been
rant
ones that I
because
got, and I'm like, why did you tell me that this person's even in this game? It's very odd.
Yeah,
I
it
just
drives me nuts.
seldom.
It's like I know it's the developers in charge, and so why are they doing that? Like you must, mate. But having said that, we haven't done trading cards yet, so mate, I think what I would say if we ever did, I would say to Dan, we've just got to assume that any of these trading cards can pop up at any time because I don't think the devs have control over it, and so let's just make all of them really safe. That you can see any of these at any point of the game, and it won't spoil anything for you. So it'd probably just be like Blade of Grass 2.
Oh,
The
well,
mouse
now you
cursor.
spoiled their plants in this
Yeah.
game. um, so you mentioned earlier things that people might not have noticed, and that's what you kind of like achievements to point people towards. What are things that you think people might not notice in the game that went into it?
Well, I think there's some branching that people might not realize is there. Um, it's not a massively branching game, but there are kind of some. If you make it's basically like most of the branching is not what you'd actually call branching. It's just if you make a dialogue choice, a character will remember it and make a joke later on about it or something. But there are a few choices where you go, do I want to punish this character in this way or that way? And then you find them in a different location. And it kind of leads to some different puzzles and stuff. But that stuff's all really we don't go telltale games about it. We don't put a message up on the screen saying, Valak will remember this or whatever. So I would hope that people would go through and play it a second time and choose different dialogue choices to just get different jokes because again it's kind of visual novelty. It's like you can't go back and choose. It's not like a LucasArts dialogue tree. You can't go back and choose the other three options. You picked one joke and that was the joke you got. So hopefully people will go back just to get the other jokes, but also to go, oh, I'm going to send this guy. I'm not going to execute this guy this time. I'm going to send him to the Iron Maiden, and then I'm going to get the Iron Maiden puzzle. So hopefully people will find that stuff out. But I guess the probably the other thing that I suspect people might not be a lot of players might miss is that we've got it's called a Milkipedia because the sidekick character is called Milky and she has written an encyclopedia or a wiki or whatever. But I didn't. But for weird nerdy linguist reasons, I didn't want to call it. I didn't want to use the term the prefix wiki, but we called it Milkipedia, and it's basically a wiki.
That's really
um,
cool.
but yeah, so you use it sometimes for puzzles because you have to learn a certain thing. But in order for it to not feel arbitrary and contrived, and B just to put extra production value into the game because it's just all text, and so you can write as much bloody text as you want for very little cost because I don't cost very much. There are loads and loads of pages of stuff there that you don't need to read at all, but like it's all kind of like Game of Thrones meets Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I would really be happy to find out that people are reading a lot of that, because there's loads of stuff in there that it's just kind of hidden away in the corners, and
I read,
that's
I
that's
think,
the kind of stuff.
everything
You
I
know,
could
we were
ask.
talking earlier about you walk into a skyscraper and there are 100 different rooms and there's something interesting in different room. There's something interesting in each different room. This is like my version of it. Is you can keep on clicking down. It's the Wikipedia rabbit hole. You know, it's like
Nice.
you can kind of find yourself kind of like going down little corridors of the Wikipedia and finding interesting ideas and stuff. And it's like little ideas that I had in my funny ideas notepad from 5 years ago that I managed to cram in there and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that that's the one thing that I hope that people might miss, and I hope that they don't, because there's loads of really good stuff. I'm really proud of some of my writing in there. There's some really good kind of Douglas Adams rip-off writing in there that I'm very happy with.
Yeah, it was actually something that I did at one point in the game, just kind of like pause for 20, 30 minutes and just kind of like go through all of it just to kind of see what was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good time reading through it.
There's a list of like as you mentioned, like our fascist emperor is euphemistically called the Grand Shepherd, because um and again, this is the kind of thing that I think you kind of have to read the wiki to, or the, I'll just call it the Milkipedia. You have to read the Milkipedia to get, like, the euphemism is Grand Shepherd, because they are shepherding other planets into their galactic union. But what they actually mean is that they're pushing them at gunpoint into their galactic union. And so Grand Shepherd is a very nice, gentle term for fascist emperor. But anyway, there's like in the Milkipedia, there's like a load of past emperors, and I don't think any of them need to be in there actually. But like, there's the two you've met, and then there's like 6 more, and one of them is called Swellamius Purplefoot, and basically his entire biography is a joke about how he used to eat lots of red meat and drink ale and mead and eat sugary things, and then at a certain point he got gout, and suddenly he was well known for drinking lots of water and resting his foot on the royal footstool.
That's awesome.
I
Which
love a classic
I was
gout.
really happy about that. And like, I kind of feel like you might read that and not, if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't get it. But if you're paying attention, you'll kind of go like, because I never use the word gout, but like you go like, oh, I get it. You know, it's not super subtle. His name is Swellamius Purplefoot, but and it's that kind of thing that I'm really kind of happy with.
That's fun. That had to be a lot of fun to write all these things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you start off and you're staring at the blank page and like, oh, how the hell am I? You know, I've got an ambition to make this huge thing. How am I ever going to do it? And you just go like, all right, I'll just do this one entry because I know I need this one entry for this puzzle. So I'll do this one entry, and then you mention in the entry, like, you go this important location is under the shadow of the great chrysalis of on Obtainium or whatever, and then you're like, right, well, I better do an entry for the great chrysalis of Obtainium. What's a funny joke for that? What's a funny joke? And then you just keep on going, and like before you know it, you've written like 100 pages of absolute nonsense.
It's funny that you yourself go on a wiki hole by writing.
Writing your own wiki.
Yeah.
Do you like use a software or something to like help you keep up with that, or is that just kind of like you just have to put it in the back of your mind that like, oh, I need to write about this, or this needs to come back up or something?
I do not use any bit of software for that now. At one point I was tempted to use Twine, just because like it makes sense. It's a very similar structure, and it helps you spot when you've got like dangling threads and stuff. But like, it was actually too much effort, and more what I do is I'll just write it in a text document, and whenever I'm like, I want to come back to that thing, I just have a little section down the bottom of things to come back to, and I'll just kind of write myself little notes. And then when I run out of ideas, I'll go down to the bottom and go, what were the 3 things I had to? Oh yeah, and then I'll pick them off. So basically, just like notepad, like text documents, and just kind of making sure that I write little memos to myself of what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like the collaboration that you got to have in order to be like, hey, I also made this thing up, so make sure that shows up somewhere in game. Maybe that's probably important too.
Yeah, I have to like that's another thing that I have to kind of keep a little list of notes of is notes for Dan. Like, so please make sure that this thing only gets triggered here, and please make sure that um I've mentioned that Valak can't whistle, so please don't say that he whistles, or this, that, and the other. So I kind of keep a running list of notes for Dan to probably ignore, and then at some point I'll be QAing it, and I'll be like, sorry Dan, you've kind of made a joke about how he's got 3 fingers, and I said he's got 4 fingers, so etc. But yeah, so you do have to kind of keep a running list of stuff for the coders to think about as well.
Yeah, it is. It is like one of those things that has to be kept in mind because like you can write a whole bunch of lore, but then like eventually it has to get implemented in design. You kind of have to make sure those two things are compatible. Um, the last thing I wanted to ask about was the inspiration for the particular art style because it is really evoking um, a little bit of Saturday morning cartoon, a little bit of Adult Swim, like I guess you call it like an edgy Saturday morning cartoon, if you will. Um, what exactly was the inspiration to go with that particular art style?
We really let Tom, who is our lead, is our art lead. I'm trying to. Oh god, embarrassingly, I can't remember his surname because I know him by his online handle, which is 2D Forever, or I know him by Tom, but I somehow have forgotten his surname, so I'm just going to look that up. Tom Waterhouse.
We'll
Oh
cut that
goodness,
out.
that's embarrassing.
We'll cut out
So
the pause.
sorry, yeah, you can hear the little tapping, the panicked tapping on the keyboard there. But Tom Waterhouse, our art lead, who is incredible. He's a lovely person, very professional, very fast, but like incredibly versatile and talented, and he can do any style that you ask him to. And really, we just said to him, "What do you want to do for this?" Rick and Morty, like you mentioned, Adult Swim, and Rick and Morty was a big touchstone for us. Vibe wise, like kind of like in the sense of you never know what's going to happen next. You're going to like, or what weird planet or dimension or whatever you're going to go to next with what rules or whatever. But we quickly kind of, I think Dan was a bit more set on Rick and Morty visuals as well, and I really didn't like the black outline stuff. And thankfully, neither did Tom. And basically, Tom just decided what he wanted to do, and he said, like, you know what, like, which one of the big inspirations for this in a kind of pastiche way is Flash Gordon. So he kind of wanted a bit of retro futurism. So the backgrounds actually look more like kind of 50s Disney stuff, with like a little bit of Jetsons thrown in there, and then
Oh, I can really see the Jetsons in some of the scenes
yeah,
in the
yeah,
background, like
and
particularly the one
then
with the Ferris wheel. That's super Jetsons.
yeah, well, so there's yeah, so that the stuff like the Ferris wheel, which is it's you can go on a series of dates with one of the characters, and so those ones are very like explicitly like this background is just a sketch. Like we didn't like this. You're only going to see it for like 30 seconds. So this is just you get you get the suggestion of a ferry wheel or a restaurant or a karaoke bar or whatever. And those
Very
ones,
Hanna-Barbera. It's really
yeah, those ones feel a bit more like Hanna-Barbera or what's the guy Oingy Muck Boing Boing, like Mr. Magoo, kind of one of those kind of minimalist kind of 60s. I can't remember the guy's name. I did throw it around a lot at the time, but I've already forgotten it. But there's a character about a kid who makes the boing boing noise, and that artist is like was kind of thrown into the mix as well. But yeah, but for me, like the characters that you've got those kind of looks in there, but then the characters feel kind of very 90s Warner Brothers to me, kind of like Freakazoid or Animaniacs or something like that. So, but
Phallic
yeah,
does look a lot like Freakazoid. Now,
yeah, it might just be the blue skin, black hair that's making me think that, to be honest, and the red clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think basically we just said to Tom, what do you think feels good here? And he kind of he drove it, and everything he
It's really
comes out with
crisp.
is amazing. So,
Like
and
it's really
we
crisp.
also have two very talented artists on the team as well, Bakal and Nana, who like they're all kind of coming up with their own ideas and adding to the design of it and adding to the lore of it and everything, and they were all kind of able to work to the same. But one of the main things that when Dan was looking for junior artists was I don't know if I should say junior artists because I don't know if that was in their title or not. But when he was looking for artists, one of the main things was, can you emulate other people's style, and specifically, can you emulate Tom's style, because we want everything to feel of a piece. And one of their big strengths that got them the job was that they were able to, they were flexible enough and versatile enough, like Tom, to be able to nail all those different styles. So the game looks absolutely gorgeous thanks to them. So
Yeah.
so they did a great job.
I really like how there's quite a few scenes where the characters are very big on the screen, which is not you don't see very often in any adventure games or any such thing, like in the
Yeah,
classic sense. Yeah.
yeah. Dan was inspired by Return to Monkey Island for that. It's kind of it's something we've always wanted to do, but like I think in our adventure games, but like obviously never really had the budget for. But like especially like seeing how often Return to Monkey Island did it. Like every time you pick something up or every time you do a little thing, there's like a nice little
Yeah.
kind of close up, and you can do that now because you've got like vector graphics and you've got HD graphics and all this kind of stuff. You can afford those. You don't need like special assets, kind of, and special cutscenes and all this kind of stuff to just cut in close to these characters, kind of picking something up in close up and just making it feel like a nice little special moment. So yeah, that was something that Dan was kind of excited to do.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the game, or what your future holds in game development?
Well, I guess the only thing the only other thing I want to say about the game really is go and buy it.
Go on.
It's only, what's it? I think it's 12 quid, which is $15 full price, and it's like a 8-hour average playthrough. So like it's well worth nabbing off Steam. So yes, please everybody go and buy it, and if you enjoy it, please leave a Steam review. And yeah, I guess I can't really say much about the future because I'm currently at Blazing Griffin, and so I may actually not do much stuff with Dan in the near future, but we'll see. You never know what's going to happen, but hopefully I'll be announcing my involvement in an exciting Blazing Griffin game at some point, and then what I would love is to convince Blazing Griffin to put all their, because they're a fairly big company. They're like a double A indie or something, I guess. And so what I would love to kind of convince them to put all their resources towards an adventure game, like a point and click adventure, like a proper Dan, you know, a proper size 5 style adventure game, and maybe kind of get Dan into kind of consult or something like that. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Anyway, I have picked up Adventure Creator myself, and I'm trying to train myself up on making adventure games myself. So you might see some kind of some independent efforts from me going up on itch.io or something for free at some point.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. Oh, Blazing Griffin made the ship. I'm looking at their website right now.
I think they did the remaster of it. I don't think they did the original
remaster. Okay. Yeah, it's called The Ship Remastered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clever. Yeah, they do like Poirot detective games and stuff like that, Lupin, and so they do a lot of detective games that as far as I'm aware are kind of pretty well received and liked, and I think they're trying to stretch their wings a little bit, which is kind of what I'm in there to help them with. So hopefully that will go well, and we'll have something incredibly exciting to talk about at some point in like 2 years down the line or whatever.
Well, we'll all look forward to it. So thank you, Ben, for speaking to us about Earth Must Die and your work in game dev. It's been really fascinating, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, I got one more question. Just before.
Oh,
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know like the business side of things. Do you get paid the same whether it's bought on Steam, whether it's bought on GOG? Like, is all the cuts pretty similar? Green Man, like all the gray markets, do you get paid the same for a game sale, or is it all just kind of like dependent on what the cut is for the marketplace?
I do not know.
Mhm.
I get the impression I get from Dan is that it's all pretty similar, and like
Okay.
when someone asks him where would you prefer we buy it from, he's like, as long as you buy it, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Uh,
Because
but
I've always
something
asked
like
that.
something
You
like
know?
Green Man, I don't think that's not like a direct store, so that's kind of they're selling Steam keys.
Yeah.
So at
So
that
that's
point,
what I've never known. Like, do they buy it from Steam at full price and then?
I assume they buy them in bulk and then
Yeah,
they make a little bit of money, but to us, we're getting the same amount of money from a Steam sale as a Green Man Gaming
that
Steam
makes me feel
key
great.
sale,
Okay.
as far as I can tell. Because otherwise, I assume Dan would be kind of shutting that shit down.
Yeah, it makes
Um,
sense. Like, I like if it was like a super higher level or something, like if you're planning on selling, 10 billion copies, maybe it makes a bit of a difference, but as long as everybody's buying it and you're getting pretty much the same cut, it might just even out.
I think that's all kind of like that's Steam and Green Man codes kind of working with each other, not the developers. Like the developers always get the same deal with Steam. So
Okay.
yeah, so that doesn't affect it.
That's really interesting.
GOG. I think GOG might take slightly less than Steam, but they don't sell. Obviously, like no one sells as much as Steam, so it all kind of evens out. But I don't know the exact figures.
Buy it
All right,
though.
that's all I had. I was just
Whenever
curious
you
about that.
go, whatever store you choose, buy it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
can just
mean,
go buy it. That's step one.
but for my part, like I'm happy that if people are buying the game and enjoying it, then I'm happy. I would prefer they didn't pirate it if they don't have to, but I'm not sure if our games even get pirated up. But yeah, if people enjoy the game, that makes me happy.
Well, yeah, I think people will when they find it, however they find it, through whatever storefront. I think they will enjoy it when they give it a go. So thank you, Ben, for speaking to us today, and thank you to Science and Kappa for joining us. If you would like to keep up to date with the podcast, you can follow us on our website at avocadogamescast.wordpress.com. On that website, we post each episode along with a link jump. Not a link jump. A link jump is not a thing. A link dump that fact checks a lot of what we say. You can also subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, or Spotify. All you've got to do is search for Avocado Gamescast. And finally, make sure you check out the community that spawned this podcast, The Avocado, at the-avocado.org. All right. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. This was a really interesting discussion, and mostly about Avatar, apparently, but also about Bethesda.
Big fan.
Big Avatar fans here.
I could go for another 3 hours on Avatar.
Run it back. Start it over.
I will eventually get back to Frontiers of Pandora, and so whenever I do, I think we'd love to have you on again to have a chat about Frontiers of Pandora.
Yes.
And maybe I will eventually have my Ikron, and I'll go flying all across the map.
I want a Norm Spellman mod. That's what I want.
That's a reference to Avatar. I missed it.
I'm going to pretend that I know what Norm Spellman is and say I fully agree.
Character.
Sorry?
Norm Spellman is the nerdy. He's like the weeb character who knows everything about the Na'vi, and he teaches Jake Sully in the first one. He's jealous at first of Jake Sully, but then because he's such a weeb for Na'vi, he gets excited about it.
The actor who plays him is honestly the perfect casting for the role, because he like the guy just looks like he's so excited to talk about anything that works better in the movie.
So I want him modded into the game. I want to be able to play him. I want Norm Spellman DLC. That's what I want.
I remember this actor. He played one of the squints on Bones.
Did he? Is it Joel David Morse?
It is Joel David Moore. Yeah.
Moore. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Now I remember this character. I just forgot his name. And I know I said that you don't forget the names of the characters in Avatar earlier.
It's such an easy name to remember as well, because at least with the human characters, they're all named very literally. Like Sigourney Weaver's character is called Grace Augustine because she is Grace. She's graceful and she is august, so it makes sense. And Miles Quaritch, Miles means soldier. He's a soldier. Norm Spellman, he's a normal guy he's really into the magic of the Na'vi, so his name is Spellman.
That's incredible.
Normal Spellman. And Norm is a nerdy name.
Mass naming conventions here.
Yeah.
There's a Hartman and a Deadman.
And Parker Selfridge, or it might be Selfridge Parker. I can't remember which way around it goes, but the CEO guy, played by Giovanni Ribisi, his name is Parker Selfridge. He's a selfish Parker. He's selfishly parked all his spaceships on the planet, but also Selfridge is the name of like an American businessman who came over to England and kind of just like imposed his superstores and all this kind of stuff on England. So it's got that as well. Like, all the names are very easy to remember if you simply understand the multiple levels of meaning behind them that James Cameron, the genius, implanted them with.
Genius. Fucking God, James. I want to hang on this sub with them and just talk Avatar all day.
I've completely forgot Giovanni Ribisi was in that movie.
He's great in it. Probably his best.
I've only seen the first Avatar movie. I haven't seen the other two yet.
Merve,
come on!
I'll get around to it. I'll watch. I also didn't see the first Avatar movie on the big screen. I saw it on my computer monitor at home.
Are you telling me you didn't watch it in 3D?
I did not. I saw it.
I saw it in 3D and IMAX, my friend. Let me tell you, I walked out of there and I was like, "Fuck, I'm not in this world anymore. This sucks."
So I come from the country that invented IMAX, but I don't live in a city with IMAX theaters. So, I know there's an irony there. I can't just go watch a movie in IMAX. It's going to be 3D on a big screen at best. Yeah, it's a little too late to watch the Avatar movies on the big screen right now. Whenever the fourth one comes out.
Yeah, when the fourth one comes out, they'll probably run the last 2 or 3 on there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I will do an Avatar 4-movie marathon.
Jesus!
Yeah. I'm just gonna inject it into my veins.
As will millions of other people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about millions of people in this country. There are only 40 billion people here, but we'll see. when that happens. So until that time, take care, listeners. We will see you later. And remember,
Not AWA.
AWA. That's the word I was looking for. I was going to say glory to AWA, but that's not something they would say in that movie. What would they say about AWA in that movie?
They just say not AWA. That's the
Naiwa.
Ma Ewa. That's the song that plays at the Land of Avatar theme park attraction. Ma Ewa. Anyway,
AWA.
sorry.
No, don't apologize. That is exactly what we want to tell our listeners. Not AWA. Take care, everyone. Hey, listeners. A special message from Merve here. I hope you enjoyed listening to us talk to Ben Ward about his work on Earth Must Die. And we think Earth Must Die is a game that you should play. We would like to make that as easy for you as possible. So, Size 5 or No More Robots didn't put us up to this. We thought it would be nice to get 3 gift copies of the game, which we purchased, and we want to give those away to you. So, the first 3 people who go to avocadogamescast.wordpress.com/contact and fill out the form giving us their Steam username, not your display name, has to be your Steam username. Those first 3 people will receive a gift copy of the game on Steam. So just head over to avocadogamescast.wordpress.com/contact, fill that out, and if you're quick, you might get a free copy of Earth Must Die. Later, taters.